unmute Zoom to make this official. So yeah, let me just recap. So this is the Fernholz complaint from Waukesha against Waukesha Water Utility, and this is Mike Newmark, Administrative Law Judge for the PSC. Now we're all official here. So I wanted to mention we are live streaming on YouTube, and the recording will be saved for posterity on the Commission's YouTube hearing channel. But that's an unofficial version of the goings on today. The official version will be reflected in the written transcript, which parties will receive after the hearing. And we'll discuss at the end of the hearing, before we adjourn, the process of proposing corrections to that document. We'll go through that at the end. But right now we're here to create the record. We did notice this as having a public component. Let me see if this is actually. Yes, okay, so we did mention that there is a public component to this. So I just wanted to say that there are no members of the public in attendance here at the hearing room or on Zoom. So in terms of collecting live comments from the public, we're not able to do that at this time. We are still set to receive public comments either online or by US mail, but they need to be filed by August 30th through the Commission's website, or like I mentioned, through the mail. So no comments on file at this time. All right. So next step is to hear our appearances. So first, who's here for the complainant?
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Matthew Fernholz, appearing on behalf of the complainants, Jerry Fabic and Fab Air LLC. Seated with me at council table is Mr. Fabic.
Perfect, thanks. Welcome to the hearing. Public Service Commission.
Stephanie Bedford, Assistant General Counsel, appearing on behalf of the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin.
And Waukesha Water Utility.
Good morning, this is Attorney Vanessa Wisher from Stafford Rosenbaum on behalf of the Waukesha Water Utility, and I have my colleague Carly Garrett as well.
All right, yeah, well, welcome everyone. All right, so we've handled that, and like I mentioned, I'll double check to see if we do have an appearance in writing from Attorney Garrett's, and I'll let you know if you need to file that or not. All right, well, let's move on. We did discuss a few preliminary matters before we started with the parties, but don't know if there's anything. There are a few outstanding issues. If nothing comes to mind, so I'm going to ask if the complainant wants to begin with anything we need to address before we take our first witness.
I do, and there's actually one thing I would like to address and one thing from the Waukesha Water Utilities. So on my end, Exhibit 9 are phone records of Mr. Fabic's, and we've redacted his actual number. I did not want to make that public, but for purposes of authenticating the number, if we could get a stipulation, we go off the record, perhaps in chambers very briefly, just to show I have the full unredacted records to establish this is his cell phone number. So when he's referencing the records, that's his number. But I didn't want to put that record, I didn't want to make that information on the public record.
Okay, well, there's an easier way. I think we'll need to, so that is going to be, I see, so there's no dispute of the number between the complainant and the respondent. Is that correct?
I'll let Waukesha Water Utility.
Correct, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, so what we can do is, yeah, that might be enough, but if parties would stipulate that the phone number is correct, I don't think we really need to go any further with that. So, so in terms of the Jerry Fabic's phone records, we'll have of course, the witness authenticate that, but in terms of that the number matches his actual phone number, parties stipulate to that fact, and I'll ask, I guess, the respondent if they agree to that.
Yeah, that's fine, sir.
Okay, yeah, so I think we can forego the other process there. I think, more common with the commission practice would be if the commission needed to see that number, it would be filed confidentially and would not be released to the public. But I don't think it's necessary here. Any other issues from the complainants?
Not on my end, other than I just have exhibit binders here, for the witness of my exhibits, if I may approach, Your Honor, but when it's time to call the first witness, that's it.
Fine. Yeah. Yeah. There are people joining us. And so for Waukesha, any issues?
Yeah, so one outstanding issue we wanted to do at the beginning of the hearing, we have filed everything confidentially on a redacted public version because the utility is prohibited from disclosing customer information. We did get a written waiver from Mr. Fabic for consent to disclose his customer information in conjunction with this hearing. So we have the written waiver, and our thought is with that waiver, it would make everything easier if we could just use the unredacted versions of the exhibits during the hearing.
That works for me. I will be displaying the redacted versions on the live stream though, I think. Is that, or is that not necessary?
I don't know that that's necessary with the waiver, but that's fine with
Okay.
us, as long, I think it'll just be helpful for the witnesses to be able to use the unredacted version.
That's fine.
But we have copies too.
Okay.
Do you want a copy of the waiver?
Of the waiver, we probably need to file that.
Okay.
That's probably the best thing for that. Okay, so let's just go off the record for a second. So, the unredacted versions, I know you filed, the customer service system was filed, that would be what we're calling Exhibit F, was filed as a confidential version. But is that, are there other documents that they just came in redacted, not? Confidential?
No, so the document that was the witness list.
There's
the
two,
document list.
right. So
Yeah, so
there's a
we filed
confidential
that,
version.
yeah. So
Okay, that's,
when we can do the same, when we refile these
Right.
exhibits, we can file them confidentially.
Yep.
Confidentially and publicly.
yep, that works. Yeah, so let's also review, let's get on the record, and so with Waukesha Water Utility, so let me just back up, so we are using, in terms of the complaints exhibits, numbers, so, we have 1 through 10. So we do, and I did, release a list, yesterday by email, so let me just ask, parties, and staff, if there's any issues with exhibits 1 through 10, or is that those are the ones that will receive into the record once they're verified by a witness. All agreed?
I'll agree on my end, yeah.
Okay, Waukesha, good. Okay, and then for Waukesha, we have, we're using the numbering lettering systems, and we have exhibits labeled A through G, with 2 new ones being F and G. Any issues with those exhibits, or can I receive those once they're verified?
There's one exhibit that we aren't planning to use.
Okay,
So I don't know if you want us to renumber with that exhibit excluded.
no,
Or we can just hold off maybe till we go through the exhibits and address it as we're doing that.
right. I mean, in the end, only the exhibits I receive will be in the record, so we can just leave it and sitting on IRF as offered rather than switching it to receive. We just keep the letters the same.
Sure.
Commission's used to seeing a missing letter for those, a missing exhibit for those reasons, so it's not a problem. Okay, so okay, well, pending what happens on the hearing, I will admit those exhibits once they're verified. There's no objections, complaint, no objections.
No objection.
So, all right. So that's good. So I did provide an opportunity for parties to make an opening statements. Did the complainant wish to make an opening statement today?
Very briefly, yes, Your Honor.
All right, so I think we're ready for that. Anything else we need to address before we start that? No? Okay, let me go ahead.
Thank you. As I mentioned previously, I represent Jerry Fabic and Fab Air LLC, which owns the hangar at Waukesha County Airport and leases the property on which the hangar sits. The record and the testimony will show today that Mr. Fabic acquired this hangar primarily to serve as an office and storage space for his pilot, Jack Lee. The hangar never held an airplane. In fact, it was too small to do so. Mr. Lee was the only person who utilized the water at this hangar, and he unfortunately passed away in August of 2021, which eliminated the need for Mr. Fabig to have any water serviced to the hangar at that time. So he calls the Waukesha Water Utility on December 20th, 2021. This fact is undisputed. He spoke with a woman he knew as Donna. We've later identified her as Donna Koshinsky. She's one of the witnesses who will testify today. What is disputed is what happened during that phone call. And Mr. Fabig will testify that he requested that the water service at the hangar be shut off, and that he understood Waukesha Water Utility was undertaking steps after that phone call to effectuate the water shut off. Now, this did not in fact occur. Mr. Fabig did not learn that the water was not shut off until the following November of 2022, when he received a notice that the unpaid water bills were going to be added to his tax rolls. Apparently, the Waukesha Water Utility was sending bills throughout 2022 to the hangar address in Waukesha County Airport, where no one is able to receive mail. That's why Mr. Fabig did not receive the mail. If he had received a bill in January of 2022, he would have objected right away and known that his request had not been honored. But once he received the notice that was going to be added to the tax roll, he immediately contacted me. I spoke to Waukesha Water Utility on November 7th of 2022. The request to shut off was then honored. But Waukesha Water Utility did not honor the request that the bills for 2022 not be assessed to Mr. Fabig and the hangar. Waukesha Water Utility has contended that there was a second phone call that Mr. Fabig placed to Waukesha Water Utility on December 30th, 2021. Mr. Fabig will testify he did not call on that date. We have not gotten clear evidence as to what the purpose of either of these calls were from Waukesha Water Utility's perspective, but they have taken the position that there was an account change on one of these phone calls, and that is why the address information changed from Fabair to Jerry Fabig, although it was misspelled with a Y, and the address went to the airport hangar where no one was receiving mail. Mr. Fabig will testify that he did not place it on that date, and therefore the record does not support the position taken by Waukesha Water Utility. The Public Service Commission requires that when a party does request the service be shut off, that it honor that request. That did not happen here, and so we asked the PSC to determine that Mr. Fabig and Fabair properly requested a turnoff of the water service on December 20th, 2021, and they are not responsible for any bills after that date. Thank you.
Okay, just wanted to clarify one thing. What's the amount in dispute at this point?
Well, there have been a few changes to that because the original invoice was added to the tax roll. And so I think the original bill was around $157. That was added to the tax roll. And then there was a new bill generated following the water shutoff that was around $57. And there'll be testimony that that amount is going to be added to the tax roll as well.
Okay, but the dispute is including the tax roll bill or?
It is, yes.
All right, thanks. Okay, Waukesha Water Utility, opening statement.
All right, good morning, Your Honor. Despite the odd procedural posture of this case and Mr. Fabig's assertions to the contrary, this is actually quite a simple open and shut case. Water meter readings show that there was 100 gallons of water used between January and February of 2022 at the property Mr. Fabig leased in Waukesha at 522 Northview Road. Today, you'll see and hear about the documentation supporting that usage. Pursuant to Wisconsin statute sections 196.22 and 196.60, as well as the Wisconsin Administrative Code section PSC 185.15 and the utilities tariff, the utility is required to charge customers for all tariff services and is prohibited from forgiving appropriately billed charges from a customer's account. The utility did exactly what it was supposed to do here. It properly billed Mr. Fabig for water use at his property and did so in accordance with its approved tariff. Mr. Fabig will try to sidestep the fact that water was used in 2022 at the property and will instead focus on a call he had with the utility employee on December 20th of 2021, as you heard. He will claim that during that call, he asked for a disconnection of his water service and that the employee said that the water service was shut off at the location. The utility does not dispute that Mr. Fabic called the utility on December 20th of 2021 and talked with utility employee Donna Kopczynski, a customer service representative with over 20 years of experience working at the utility and who talked to dozens of customers on a daily basis. However, the documentation you'll see today does not support Mr. Fabic's position that he requested a disconnection on December 20th. When a disconnection is requested, it doesn't happen with the snap of a finger. There are steps and processes that have to occur. If Mr. Fabic had requested a disconnection, it would be documented. With her 20 years of experience, Ms. Kopczynski was very familiar with how to document such a request. Less than 2 weeks later, on December 30th of 2021, Mr. Fabic called the utility again and requested a name change on the account from Fab Air LLC to Jerry Fabic. You'll hear from the employee who talked to Mr. Fabic on that day, Stephanie Graver, and see the documentation supporting that such a name change request was made. Mr. Fabic claims this call never happened and seemingly alleges that utility employees are fabricating records or haphazardly and without direction, accessing and making changes to customers' accounts. That is simply not the case. The documentation does not support Mr. Fabic's rendition of events, and neither will the testimony you hear today from 4 past and current employees of the utility who combined have decades of experience handling customer calls, billing disputes, and are trained and proficient at using the utility's internal software to document customer requests. This case is admittedly in an odd procedural posture. Mr. Fabic filed an informal complaint with the PSC, who concluded that the utility's records did not indicate that a disconnection request was made and that the utility had appropriately billed Mr. Fabic for water measured by the meter. Mr. Fabic then requested a formal review and a hearing, which the PSC denied, and he subsequently filed a circuit court action seeking judicial review and asked that circuit court to remand the matter to the PSC to take additional evidence and testimony that he claims he was not previously able to obtain. The PSC and the utility opposed the motion, but the circuit court granted it, and upon remand, the PSC ultimately decided to reopen the matter, and that's why we're here today. We would ask that this be considered a formal hearing and that the commission find that the utility properly billed Mr. Fabic for water utility services at 522 Northview Road.
Okay, thank you. Anything commission staff would like to add?
No, nothing, Your Honor.
Okay, thanks. All right, so ready to take our first witness? We'll have the complaints go first, so.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call Jerry Fabic, and if I may approach with the binder
Yes,
exhibit.
absolutely. All right. Have a seat. I'm going to swear you in. Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right. It's your witness.
Morning, Mr. Fabic. I just want to get some background information on the record and we'll get into the substantive questioning. What is your date of birth, sir?
August 8th, 1963,
And where did you grow up?
St. Louis, Missouri.
Can you tell the PSC what it is that you do for a living?
I run a Caterpillar tractor dealership, chairman and CEO of that. And I also have a number of other companies, including Fab Air, which is an aviation services company.
Can you move your microphone closer, please?
Pardon?
Can you move the microphone closer, please?
I'm not sure it's turned on, Mr. Fabic. Do you know-
The light is on.
Okay.
Thank you.
You mentioned Fab Air LLC. Can you explain what that is?
Fab Air owns and operates various kinds of aircraft.
And what was the purpose in creating Fab Air LLC?
It was to be able to provide transportation services to the dealership and other clients as well.
Do you own a hangar at the Waukesha County Airport?
I do.
Okay, and is it you personally or is it through Fab Air?
It's owned by Fab Air LLC.
Okay, and when, to your best of recollection, did Fab Air LLC acquire that hangar?
I believe it was sometime in the mid-2000s.
And Who owns the property on which the hangar sits?
The Waukesha County Airport, owns the property and I lease the property from them, but I own the building on the property.
And just so we have clean records, that address 522 Northview Road in Waukesha.
That's correct.
What was the purpose of purchasing the hangar at the Waukesha County Airport?
At that time, my flight operations manager had an office in our Silver Spring location in Milwaukee. And that building was undergoing renovations and it just wasn't going, we weren't gonna be able to provide office space there. He found this hangar in Waukesha. I think it's probably one of the smallest individual hangars on the airport property, suitable for probably only the smallest aircraft that fly out of there. But I was interested in it for the office space for him to use, for the managing aircraft for me, and also to store spare parts and manuals and things like that that go along with aircraft operation and maintenance.
You mentioned your flight operations manager. What is his name?
Jack Lee.
Sorry, can we just spell Lee?
Lee, L-E-E.
After the hangar was acquired, then how was it utilized by Mr. Lee?
It was utilized as his primary office. He took care of all of the maintenance activities for me on the aircraft. Kept track of all of the expenses associated with that maintenance and operation of the aircraft. Certainly, there's a lot of FAA requirements that go along with that and documenting the maintenance activities on the aircraft. So that was the primary use, and then the side benefit of having additional storage inside there for spare aircraft parts and components. Again, all of the manuals for maintenance and operation and records that go along are voluminous, and it takes up a lot of space to store that kind of documentation, and we have to keep that for a long time.
How frequently did you personally utilize or visit the hangar space?
I did not. Jack was really the only one that went in and out of there. I would occasionally go visit him, but he was really the sole user of that, and the office, the restroom there, and then took care of and kept track of everything inside the hangar.
And so to build off that last answer, to your knowledge, no one else was utilizing this hangar space besides Mr. Lee?
That's correct. Nobody else.
What water service was connected to the hangar, to your knowledge?
It was really only there just for the restroom. It was just adjacent to the small office inside the building.
Did this hangar ever house or store an airplane?
Not for me, no.
When did Mr. Lee pass away?
August 7th, 2021.
And based upon his death, did that prompt you to determine that you no longer needed water service at the hangar?
Yes, eventually, after we got through trying to pick up the pieces of all the things he did for me and having to find other people to take over those activities, it was apparent to me that the only reason I had water service there was for that restroom for his use when he used that in his office. At that point, I no longer needed that.
So following Mr. Lee's death, no one else replaced him in terms of someone utilizing that space at the hangar?
That's correct. No one is in there.
Did you place a phone call to the Waukesha Water Utility on December 20th of 2021?
I did,
And what was the reason for that call?
to disconnect the water service.
Tell me what you remember about that phone call.
I remember, like I said, it was getting towards the end of the year, trying to clean things up, with Jack Lee's passing. And, I was tired of paying a water bill, for monthly service. He really didn't ever use any water other than for the toilet in the building anyway. And so that was just another thing to check off the list before the end of the year and get done. So I wouldn't have to deal with the paperwork of having to continually get a monthly bill on that.
At this time, so I'm talking December 2021 timeframe, how were you receiving bills from the Waukesha Water Utility for water usage at the hangar?
They were being mailed to Fab Air at my Silver Spring address in Milwaukee.
Do you recall the exact street number, just for the record?
It's 11200 West Silver Spring Road.
And would you receive regular monthly statements from the Waukesha Water Utility?
Yes.
How would you pay those bills?
Sometimes I pay by Fab Air check, and then sometimes I got towards the end, I would do an online payment because it was just easier than filling out a check every month.
Do you recall anything in particular about the method of the online payment and the amounts?
To my recollection, my bills were coming in around $17, $18 for just basic service, no usage every month. And if I remember right, the online application for the utility only allows a minimum payment of $20. So that was kind of a pain point to begin with. And so I would have to make payments that exceeded what my actual bill was due because there was a minimum that they required you to pay.
So every month when you receive these monthly statements from Waukesha Water Utility, you could identify what the water usage was. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Returning to this phone call of December 20th, 2021, do you recall the name of the person you spoke with?
Donna, that's what I wrote down on my current statement at that time of who I contacted or who I spoke with.
Did you write anything else down on this statement you referenced?
Probably just the date and her name.
Do you recall approximately how long you spoke with Donna that day?
It didn't seem to me to be very long. It was long enough to communicate what I wanted.
And what did you tell her?
I told her that I wanted to shut off my water service to the hangar. It was no longer needed.
And what do you recall Donna telling you in response to that?
I don't specifically remember, but I think it was something, around, okay, get the information. And like I said, I had my current statement there so I could give my account number, customer number. And I can't remember if she asked me why or not. If she did, I'm sure I told her that Mr. Lee had passed away and I didn't need water service anymore. I'm not positive on that. And then I think she said that someone would be out right away to get that done. And that was it.
Okay, so she indicated to you what steps the Waukesha Water Utility was going to take to cancel your service?
Not specifically, other than it would be done.
At the end of this phone call, was it your understanding that Waukesha Water Utility was going to disconnect your water service at the hangar?
Yes.
Did you believe following that phone call that there was any additional follow-up action that you needed to take to cancel the water service at the hangar?
No, and in fact, after that, I got one more remaining monthly bill sent to Fab Air at the Silver Spring Road address. And at that time, it still contained a $10 and some odd cent credit on it. And that's the last bill that I received from the Waukesha Water Utility.
And was this credit relating to the overpayment that you described earlier with the minimum of $20 online?
Yeah, I think I had the previous payment that I had made, I think I made a electronic fund transfer out of Fab Air's account for $100 that kind of led me up to ultimately still having a credit when I canceled the service.
Besides this phone call on December 20th, 2021, have you made any other phone calls to the Waukesha Water Utility?
No, I have not.
If you could take that black binder in front of you, sir, and go to Exhibit 9.
Let's go off the record for a second. So I'm going to display this for the live stream as well. Just give me a minute. to get that ready. Okay. So- Is that the exhibit?
It is.
Okay, let's get back on the record.
Mr. Fabic, what I have in front of you is Exhibit 9, our phone records from a Verizon account. The phone number has been redacted, but you see it has your name, summary for Jerry Fabic on there.
Yes,
You recognize these as true and accurate copies of records from Verizon of your phone records?
I do.
And we have just a small sample here from December of 2021 through January of 2022. And I want you to go to the second page. And you'll see on there, there's an unredacted unredacted number of 262-521-5272 on December 20th at 11:32 in the morning. You see that?
Yes,
You recognize that as a phone call placed to the Waukesha Water Utility on December 20th of that year?
yes,
And you see the length of the call is identified as 4 minutes.
yes,
Is that consistent with your recollection of the length of the phone call that you had with Donna Kopczynski on that date?
that sounds about right.
All right, and if you go to the third page, these are phone records of outgoing calls December 29th through January 4th, December 29th of 2021 through January 4th, 2022. And I want you to focus on December 30th. You see there are 4 phone calls identified on, or 5 phone calls on December 30th. You see that?
Yes,
And you see there's an origination of the phone calls for that date as Naples, Florida.
yes,
Were you in Naples, Florida on December 30th, 2021?
I was on vacation.
Okay. And do you observe any of the destinations of the calls as being identified as Waukesha, Wisconsin?
No,
And you observe in these phone records on December 30th, any of the area codes beginning with 262?
no,
This account with Verizon is your cell phone, is that accurate?
yes,
And is this an account that you have personally? Is it through your work? Who's the account holder?
is through work.
Okay. Do you have any other cell phone numbers?
I do not.
Do you use this cell phone for both personal and professional reasons?
Yes,
Do you know how long you've owned this particular cell phone number approximately?
probably 25 years.
In the time frame of end of 2021, early 2022, to your recollection, were you making outgoing phone calls on any other phone number besides this cell phone number identified in Exhibit 9?
No,
If you can turn to Exhibit 1, sir. Do you have it in front of you?
yes,
Does this document look familiar to you?
yes,
And do you recall, if you go to the second page of the document, there's a postmark on here and then an address. Do you recall receiving this letter in the mail?
I do.
I should just note, this is a tax roll notice. It says it originates from Waukesha Water Utility, October 14th of 2022. The name on page 2, which is the front of the envelope, you see it's Jerry Fabic. Is
Yes,
that how you spell your name, sir?
no,
have you ever represented to the Waukesha Water Utility that you spell your name Jerry?
No,
To the best of your recollection, have you represented to any service provider that you spell your name Jerry?
no,
The address identified on here is 11200 West Silver Spring Road, which I believe is the address you identified earlier. Is that correct?
yes,
Explain what that address is.
that is the Fabic Cat office in Milwaukee.
And that is where you have bills sent.
Yes, Fabair, that's Fabair's mailing address.
Do you recall, and I just want to reference your the postage here. Do you see there's a postmark of November 1st, 2022?
Yes,
The 45 cents, you see that? Do you recall how it is that you received this letter?
I believe this was sent to me by someone at the Waukesha County Airport.
And do you recall approximately the date when you received it?
It would have been probably within a week of the postmark date, as I don't get mail or go in the Milwaukee office every day.
Okay, sometime within a week of November 1st, 2022.
Typically, that would be about normal.
If you go to the first page, the letter says, "Dear property owner, this is a special notice to alert you that the above delinquent water and wastewater charges for Jerry, Jerry, Fabic at 522 Northview Road will be placed on your property tax bill if not paid by 4 p.m. on November 15, 2022, as prescribed by Wisconsin state statutes." The statute further directs that unless payment is received in the office by November 1, 2022, a penalty of 10% of the amount in arrears shall be added to the bill. If the bill with the added penalty is not paid by November 15, 2022, it must then be filed with the treasurer of the municipality and levied as a tax against the property. Prior to receiving this letter sometime after November 1st, 2022, when the additional penalty applies, was it your understanding that the water was shut off at the hangar?
Yes,
Were you surprised when you received this letter?
I was. I thought the last bill that I got was in January of 2022 to Fabair in Silver Spring Road with a $10 and some odd cent credit on it, and that's the last bill that I received.
The address of the hangar, the 522 Northview Road, is that address, to your knowledge, able to receive mail?
I don't know. I've never received mail there. Jack Lee did not receive mail there. Everything for Fabair either went to the Silver Spring Road address, or if it was parts coming in for aircraft maintenance, it got shipped to Atlantic Aviation, where the maintenance was taking place.
So if you can turn to Exhibit 2. And Exhibit 2 is a group of bills from the Waukesha Water Utility. The first one on page 1 has a payment due date of February 21, 2022. And you see there's a reading begin date of December 8, 2021 through an end date of January 10th, 2022. And then if you go to the very end, this runs through period ending in October of 2022. Do you see that?
Yes, but this was not my Fabair account. This is not my customer number.
Okay. So the customer that was affiliated with the hangar at the Waukesha County Airport was Fabair.
Yes,
It was not you personally.
no. And I would not have that in my personal name because it's not owned by me. It's owned by Fabair. And that would be a Fabair expense that would be paid by Fabair.
You have never asked the Waukesha Water Utility to designate you, Jerry Fabic, the person, as the account holder. Is that true?
That I have never asked them to do that.
The address listed on here is 522 Northview Road. You see that?
Yes,
Have you ever asked the Waukesha Water Utility to send bills to 522 Northview Road?
no, and in fact, all of these shown here, I never received them.
Okay, if you can turn to exhibit 3. And this is a letter that I wrote November 18th of 2022 to Stephanie Graber at the Waukesha Water Utility. I don't want to spend a long time with this, sir, but I just want to ask, did you authorize me to contact the Waukesha Water Utility on your behalf?
I did, as soon as I got that notice, I sent it to you, and that's what started all of this.
And you authorized me to send this letter to Ms. Graber?
I did.
You can go to exhibit 4, which is an undated letter from Tina Cadrick to me with Waukesha Water Utility letterhead on the top. And what I want to point out to you, sir, in the second paragraph towards the middle, it says, as you are aware, our records show that there was water usage at the property between January 10th, 2022 and February 8th, 2022. Do you see that sentence?
Yes,
Did you utilize any water at the hangar during that roughly 30-day period?
I did not.
To your knowledge, do you know if anyone utilized any water at the hangar during that period?
No,
Who else would have had access to your hangar during that period? I'm talking January and February of 2022.
no one that I'm aware of.
Throughout the entire year of 2022, would anyone else have had access to that hangar?
No,
You have no personal knowledge of anyone using water at the hangar at any point in the year 2022.
that's correct.
Okay, you know, there's a sentence further along in this paragraph that is the second to last sentence that says that usage occurred on September 15, 2022, as shown on the attached graphs. And I don't have the graphs here. But again, you, to your knowledge, did not authorize anyone to utilize water at the hangar on September 15, 2022.
No, there was no one there.
If you go to the last paragraph, it begins with, we have no record of Mr. Favik's request to disconnect the service. However, per your correspondence, we are now aware that he no longer wants water available at his hangar. The the water utility will disconnect the water at the curb box on January 20th, 2023, but the water meter and radio unit also need to be removed. Please ask Mr. Favik to contact our office to schedule an appointment. After the meter is removed and water is disconnected at the curb stop, we will review his request for reimbursement. Was this the first time that you learned that there were additional steps that needed to be taken to actually shut off the water at the hangar?
Yes,
Did you eventually schedule an appointment or have someone schedule an appointment with the Waukesha Water Utility to disconnect the water in January of 2023?
yes, I had a contractor that does work for me at the airport schedule with the water department to meet them at the hangar, gave him a key to allow them access in. I didn't realize that they needed access. I thought that they simply shut it off at the curb.
Is it fair to say you promptly acted on this request to have someone schedule an appointment with the Waukesha Water Utility to shut off the water?
Yes, I think it was Greg Feibig is the one that actually set up the appointment with the water utility to meet them at the hangar and let them come in and remove the meter. I didn't even know there was a meter inside there.
Who is Mr. Feibig?
He's a contractor. He cleans aircraft for a business. He does that on the Waukesha Airport for a lot of other companies, including myself. I keep my plane hangared at Atlantic Aviation. I lease hangar space there. And so he'll clean my airplane in that hangar on a regular basis. But I've known Greg for a long time, and he works at the airport most days, and he was available to help me out and meet them there.
And you authorized him to meet with the Waukesha Water Utility to disconnect the service?
Yeah, and I had to give him a key in order to get in the building.
You can go to exhibit 5, sir. Do you know, do you recognize this as a bill from the Waukesha Water Utility?
Yes,
And you see the address has changed to 11200 West Silver Spring Road,
yes,
but the name is still identified as Jerry Fabic.
I see that.
Did you ever tell the Waukesha Water Utility to change the address, but to leave you as the personal account holder?
I did not.
There's a meter reading begin date of January 9th through, and an end reading of February 10th, 2023. Do you see that?
Yes,
You had the water shut off, you testified earlier, at the end of January 2023. Is that accurate?
that's when they finally did it.
Okay, so it was your understanding that this bill, even though it runs through February 10th, 2023, your understanding was that the water had been shut off by that date?
Before that date, yes.
If you go to exhibit 6, this is a letter that I sent to Tina Cadrick at the Waukesha Water Utility on March 14th of 2023. And at the second paragraph, I wrote, Mr. Fabic's water meter was removed in January, and yet he continues to receive water service and fire capacity charges. I'm enclosing a copy of his most recent invoice from the Waukesha Water Utility, which we dispute. Did you authorize me to send this letter to Ms. Cadrick?
I did.
If you can go to exhibit 7. This is a March 23rd, 2023 letter to me from Catherine Anderson, who is identified as the billing coordinator of Waukesha Water Utility. And if you go to the first paragraph, she notes the following. I want to read the second sentence, or the third sentence. The results of that investigation show in documentation previously provided to Mr. Fabic that water was used at the hangar between January 10th and February 8th, 2022, and again on September 15th, 2022. Our technician also noted a water hose coming from inside the hangar on December 22nd, 2022. I want to stop right there. Did you have knowledge that the Waukesha Water Utility technician was visiting the hangar on December 22nd, 2022?
I did not.
Ms. Anderson goes on to write, because water was available and used, the outstanding bill of $57.97 is owed to the water utility. Now, if you go to the second page, you'll notice the bill that we talked about. This is a bill that was sent previously, but it shows begin date of October 10, 2022 through an end date of November 7, 2022. But I want you to go to the third and fourth page, which are the photographs that were included in the letter. Do you recognize the photograph on the third page, what that is in the photograph?
That's the hangar door at the hangar.
I just want to make sure, are you on the third page, Mr. Fabic? I think you might be on the fourth page.
Oh, yeah, it's a picture of part of a door and a hose.
Okay, and then you see on the fourth page, there's the door you referenced, and then there's be the hose at the bottom there.
Yes,
Can you explain why there was a hose? Well, first of all, do you recognize this as the door and the entering into the hangar that we've been discussing today?
yes, this is 522 Northview.
You recognize that hose that was there?
I do.
And can you explain why there was a hose running outside the hangar?
The condenser, I guess the condensation pump on the furnace system had failed. And that was temporary to allow that condensation drainage to get out of the building and not puddle on the floor until I could get the furnace system replaced.
If you go back to the first page of exhibit 7, returning to Ms. Anderson's letter, the second paragraph, she writes, the utility will consider the phone call on November 7th, 2022 as notification to cancel the water service at 522 Northview Road and apologizes for the bill issued through February 9th, 2023 in error. Utility turned the water off at the curb box on January 20th, 2023, and removed the water meter and radio on January 26th, 2023. Are those dates consistent with your recollection of the water turned off at the curb box on January 20th and the meter and radio being removed on January 26th?
I assume them to be accurate. That sounds about right.
If you go to exhibit 8, sir. And you go off the record, Your Honor.
Sure.
I was gonna make a cross reference to exhibit A, and I wonder if I could use respondents with my hearing, if they have one, if I could hand it to the witness. I printed it off. Mr.
Okay, well, we're off the record, so what are we showing?
Well, I'm gonna start with 8, and then I'm gonna go to exhibit A.
Yes.
All right, go ahead, back on.
Okay,
Is there a problem?
I don't think you have exhibit A pulled up there.
We're starting with 8.
Oh, I see.
no, well, A is on the right, or 8 is on the right, and then A should be on the left, and I don't think.
But it
that's-
says page 27 of 29, I think that's why, at the very top. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's right. So, yeah, you're right. Oh, all right, go ahead.
Okay. If you take a look at exhibit 8, Mr. Fabic, which is a request for refund with the Waukesha Water Utility, and you see the customer identified is Fabair LLC.
Yes,
Okay, and the amount of, it says amount of overpayment, $10.77. And then there's a request for a refund and your signature, is that your signature that appears under above the word signed
yes,
on November 12th, 2022?
correct.
Can you describe why it is that you made this request for refund with the Waukesha Water Utility for $10.77?
I had forgotten about the credit that I had on the Fabair account from the last bill that I got for that back in January of 2022. I figured they'd send it to me, but since they never did, I had found out, I guess I had to request it.
And regarding that date, if you go to exhibit A, which has pages on it, so I want you to go to page 58 at the bottom of exhibit A. Let me know when you're there, sir.
I'm there.
Of course. This is exhibit A, yeah,
Right here.
on page 58.
Oh, I see. Right, all right, we're there.
Okay, and you see, there's a customer and account information and identifies it as Fabair LLC. On
Yes,
the left side, do you see where, you see that?
yes, I see the customer number.
Okay, and we can go off the record for a moment. Does he have an unredacted copy? He does, okay,
Yes.
okay. And then, returning to the record, if you then go to the right, you see there's a balance of $0, deposit of $0, and then it says last bill. You see that? And if you want me
Yes, I do.
to, okay, and there's you see it says $10.77 CR.
Yes,
You understand that to be the $10.77 credit that you requested later in 2022?
yes,
And you see it says due January 20th of 2022.
yes,
And I think you testified to this earlier, but it was your understanding that when you turned off the water, requested the water to be turned off on December 20th, 2021, there remained a credit that was due and owing to you, and no further bills from Waukesha Water Utility would be forthcoming. Is that true?
yes. The problem with this customer number has Fabair, but it has the hangar address on it. And my final bill that I got under this customer number didn't have that on it.
Your final bill, had a different customer and, address indicated.
But I think it's the same customer number, but it had the Silver Spring Road address on it.
Which is how you had requested that it be set up.
That's how when I looked, yes, and when I look back, that's how I realized I had that credit when I went back through the old bills. Said, oh, here we go. I guess it never sent me a check for this.
Waukesha Water Utility never informed you of the credit, you had to make the request.
That's correct.
If you can go to exhibit 10. And this is a tactile notice from Waukesha Water Utility dated October 13th, 2023. It says, dear property owner, this is a special notice to alert you that the above delinquent water and wastewater charges for Jerry Fabic at 522 Northview Road will be placed on your property tax bill if not paid by 4 p.m. on November 15th, 2023, as prescribed by Wisconsin state statutes. And we've seen this before, but it goes on to read, the statutes further direct that unless payment is received in the office by November 1, 2023, a penalty of 10% of the amount in arrears shall be added to the bill. If the bill with the added penalty is not paid by November 15, 2023, it must then be filed with the treasurer of the municipality and levied as a tax against the property. And then you see, well, first of all, do you recall receiving this letter, sir?
I do.
Do you recall approximately when you received it and how you received it?
I actually have it with me. It came in an envelope mailed by someone at the Waukesha County Airport to the Silver Spring Road address with this notice and envelope inside of it.
And did it identify, the envelope you recall, it identified Fab Air LLC or Jerry Fabic on the top?
I don't know. I do have it with me. I can check.
Do you mind if I go over? Do you mind if I have him take a look at it to refresh his recollection?
Well, no, we can stay on. So it's not filed.
Okay,
That particular version is not filed.
that's correct, yeah.
Well, I don't have a problem. Why don't we mark it as 11 and have you file it though? So it would be the envelope, is that?
That's correct. Is that right, Mr. Fabic?
It's the mailing envelope that came to me that contained this notice in an envelope inside of it.
And you have that envelope with you?
Yeah, and I have it in a folder there on the table.
Okay, and just to be clear, exhibit 1 is different in what way? Because there's an envelope in that.
So
On that.
exhibit 1 is the prior year.
Ah,
So it's
Okay.
the 2022 notice. This one's the 2023 notice.
So it'll be a similar setup.
Correct,
Okay.
just the, right.
I see, all right. Yeah, so if you want to produce that, share it with council, and then we'll have to have it,
Are there copies or is it
File.
only just one?
I think it just has one.
Okay.
let's go through.
I just saw it looking through the folder or gathering my papers up for this.
And I'm almost done with my questioning. I can finish it.
Well, questioning first?
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm almost done with the questioning, and then I can have him produce it, share with council. If there's an objection, we can address it, and then I can just finish that exhibit 11 and wrap it up.
Okay, so no questions about that envelope?
Other than for him to authenticate what it
Okay,
is.
all right, let's get back on.
Okay. Mr. Fabic, you'll see on exhibit 10, there's an amount due of $57.97. And then it says after November 1, 2023, it's $63.77. Have you paid this amount to the Waukesha Water Utility?
No,
And why not?
I don't think that I owe it. And secondly, I'm not the property owner. Waukesha County Airport owns property.
And likewise with exhibit 1, just to go back to this, there was an amount due of $153.93. And then after November 1, 2022, it goes to $169.32. Have you ever paid that amount to the Waukesha Water Utility?
No,
And why not?
It's not my property. It never showed up on my tax bill.
And you are disputing the charges,
Yes,
other than just authenticating that envelope, I don't have any other questions for Mr. David.
All right, so why don't we go off the record and you can share that envelope with council and present it to the board.
That was decided.
it's just like that.
Okay. This is the envelope you received from the airport. And this was covered by the envelope.
You just want to leave that up there too.
Yeah,
Once
that's
it's done.
May I approach?
Share it with commission staff.
Okay. Okay. May I approach?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know if we want to mark that separately as 11 and 12 or just make it one exhibit.
Right. In this place. I'll get back on the record.
Okay, Mr. Fabic, you went and grabbed an envelope for marking as exhibit 11. It's actually two envelopes. Can you just explain and put on the record what is contained within those envelopes and what's on them?
The envelope I received addressed to me at Silver Spring Road was from the Waukesha County Airport. Postmarked October 20th, 2023. Inside that envelope was a Waukesha water utility envelope. Addressed to Waukesha County, 1320 Pewaukee Road, room 148, Waukesha. Postmarked October 13th, 2023. And then it has a received stamp from the Waukesha County Treasurer's Office dated October 16th, 2023, and then airport written below it. And then inside of that is the October 13 tax roll notice that we've already discussed in Exhibit 10.
Okay, the very first envelope that you referenced, the outlining envelope, you said it was addressed to you. Does that mean it was Jerry Fabic at the top as opposed to Fab Air?
It does.
I have no further questions.
All right. Now, I'm just gonna take a picture of those, and what we'll have you do is file these, I think just file the complete set of the two envelopes and the exhibit as exhibit 11. And just put a number on that, a marked number on there of 11. Just grab this so I'll have verification. You're welcome. All right, no question, no more direct, so witness available for cross. Yes, all right, cross examination.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Fabic. Just at the beginning here, spell your name J-E-R-E, is that correct?
Yes.
Introduce your self to the witness.
Oh, my name is Carly Garretts. I'm one of the attorneys for Waukesha Water Utility. I'm just gonna ask you a couple of questions this afternoon, all right?
All right.
So you spell your name J-E-R-E, is that correct?
Yes.
But it's pronounced the same way as if it was spelled J-E-R-R-Y, as in Jerry?
It's pronounced Jerry. There's a lot of different ways, I guess, to spell Jerry.
I believe you testified that Mr. Jack Lee had primarily used the airport hangar at 522 Northview Road, and you called him, I think, the sole user, is that correct?
Yeah, that was his office
Okay, and he passed away in August of 2021.
on the
that-
7th, yes.
And you also used that airport hangar for storage,
Yes,
and there was a restroom or a toilet within the office at the hangar.
yes.
After Mr. Lee passed away, is it your position that the hangar just sat vacant for a year with no visits?
There were minimal visits to gather things, dealing with Mr. Lee's passing and some personal papers and so forth, but otherwise, yes.
So you don't recall ever using water within that 1 year period?
I do not.
I want to ask you some questions about your call with Donna Kaczynski on December 20th of 2021. Did she ask you during that call why you were requesting a perm off or to disconnect the water services?
She may have.
But you're not sure?
I don't specifically recall the conversation.
Did she tell you that you would need to schedule an appointment to remove the meter and the meter interface unit during that call?
No,
So your understanding was, as soon as you told her to disconnect it, your role was done and you didn't need to take any further steps, correct?
yeah, I thought they turned off some valve on the roadside and it was that simple.
So she didn't mention anything that a customer typically needs to be there for when the water is turned on.
No,
And it's your position that you never called the utility on December 30th and talked to someone named Stephanie Graber, is that correct?
I never called again other than the 20th of December.
So you never asked for a name change on the account from Fab Air to Jerry Fabic, correct?
No, and I wouldn't do that because it's Fab Air's hangar.
You still leased the hangar in 2022, correct?
Yes,
Do you think you were there in January and February of 2022?
no,
Do you think you were there in September of 2022?
no.
You referenced a contractor at the airport who helped with the appointment that you had with the utility in January of 2023. What did you say his name was?
I think it's Greg Fiebig, if I pronounce it correctly, Fiebig. He has a company called Aircraft Image that cleans aircraft.
Did he have access to the hangar at any point before this January 2023 appointment?
I don't believe so.
Had you ever given him a key
I did to have him go in to do this.
in January of 2023?
Yes,
I'm gonna have you look at exhibit number 2, please.
Just bear with me a second.
I'm gonna have you flip to the second page of exhibit 2. Oh,
Back on, go ahead.
I'm gonna have you flip to page 2 of exhibit 2.
all right,
All right, do you see that where it says customer number 064573
yes,
and account number 131053350? And the service address being 522 Northview Road, correct?
I see that.
And do you see that the begin date for this bill was January 10th of 2022 and the end date was February 8th of 2022?
I see that.
And do you see where it says usage 100?
I see that.
Do you understand that that means that there was 100 gallons of water used at the service address during this time period?
That's what this says.
But you dispute that you ever used water during this period?
That's correct.
Is it your position that the utility has somehow falsified records?
I don't know.
Or somehow that the meter at the location is defective?
After I called to have it shut off, I don't know what happened after that.
And if the utility staff says that you called on December 30th and did a name change to change it from Fab Air to Jerry Fabic, is it your position that you did not make that call, correct?
I did not make that call.
So the staff must have fraudulently created an account under your name?
I don't know what their motivation was.
There's an objection. Go ahead.
Object to the form.
Okay, sustain.
I'm gonna move on to the phone records. Can you flip to page 9 or exhibit 9? And I believe you said this is for your cell phone, which you use for both personal and professional reasons. Is that correct?
Yes,
During this time period of December 2021 and January 2022, did you ever use a landline phone?
not that I recall.
Okay, and are you married, Mr. Fabic?
No,
Do you know if a call is deleted from your cell phone manually, if it would show up on these Verizon records?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustain.
I don't see how it could if they're
You
billing
need to
it.
answer.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No further questions for now.
Okay. So I did have a question for you,
Sure.
with this Fabic. Did anyone else have a key to the hangar?
Just Jack Lee and I don't believe anyone at Waukesha County Airport does. They could, but they were never given one by me.
And did you obtain that key that Jack Lee possessed after his death?
Well, I got Jack Lee's key back, yes. And I had my own key also.
Any idea when you got that key back?
It was shortly after he passed. His daughter brought me his laptop and papers and a whole bunch of keys for the hangar and airplanes and other things like that.
And how many employees do you have in Fab Air?
Fab Air doesn't have any employees.
Okay, so how many planes?
2 planes currently.
And who works on those planes?
Well, one plane is based in Waukesha and I lease hangar space from Atlantic Aviation. And another plane is based in St. Louis and I lease space down there. And then I have outside contractors that perform maintenance for me. But they do so in those larger hangars.
Okay, great. All right, any redirect?
None for me.
No, and Commissioner Staff, any questions?
No questions from commission staff.
Okay, so is that it for this witness? Yeah,
For Mr. Fabic.
all right, thanks very much, you're excused.
Do I bring these back with me?
Why don't you leave those up?
This too?
Yeah, leave exhibit 11.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so let me just recap, so we'll have the complaint file exhibit 11, that'll be the thing we expect to see from them. How long do you need to file there?
To file it,
Mm-hmm.
I can get it filed tomorrow.
All right, perfect. Okay, I think that's it. So let's call our next witness, Waukesha Water.
Can we take just a 5-minute break before? we-
Yeah, I guess it's a good time to do that.
Thank
All right, let's recess. Well, I'll give you 15 minutes. How does that sound?
Great.
All right, great, thanks. You know to ask. Yes, thank you. All right, well, it's time to get started. We have Waukesha as witnesses.
Yeah, we'll call Tina Cadrich. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Yep, that's it.
I don't have to do it this time. I love it.
Like, so you don't have to keep leaning forward,
Yeah.
can you move it closer or no?
Yep.
Okay. Because then
Hello.
people get comfortable and they don't move forward.
Just get comfortable.
Okey-doke.
And I'll swear you in, raise your right hand, swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, go ahead.
All right, will you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Tina Cadrich, Kadrich.
Are you okay if I call you Tina?
I'm great with that.
All right, are you currently employed, Tina?
I'm not. I retired in April of 23.
And where did you work before you retired?
The Waukesha Water Utility,
How many years did you work for the Waukesha Water Utility?
30 plus.
What was the last role that you had?
A customer service and billing supervisor,
And how long were you in that role?
3 years.
So you must have had a number of different roles during your 30 plus years at the utility?
I did. I started as a customer service rep and moved around.
What role did you have before the customer service and billing supervisor role?
The customer billing coordinator.
And what was,
Excuse me, can you move the microphone?
Sure.
what was the difference between those two roles?
Honestly, not much of anything.
What were your duties as the customer service and billing supervisor?
Mainly my main job was to send out accurate bills, supervise customer service staff, take any calls that were maybe a little bit complicated, and help in any other situation that needed help.
And you understand that we're here today to discuss a complaint filed by Mr. Fabic about calls he had with staff in late 2021 and water usage at his property in 2022, correct?
Correct.
All right, and do you understand that if I say the property, I'm referring to the service address here,
Yes,
and that address is 522 Northview Road?
correct.
When did you, or how did you get involved with this matter?
I got involved when Stephanie Graber received an email from attorney Fernholz.
And did you perform some sort of investigation?
Yes, at that point, we sent one of our technicians out to check out the property and get a log that we can go back 90 days to see if there was any water usage placed at the property or used at the property.
Okay, I'm gonna direct you to exhibit 4 in the binder in front of you. And is this the investigation kind of conclusion that you reached that you sent to Mr. Fernholz?
Yes,
So before we get to the investigation and sending a crew out to the property, I just want to ask you a little bit about processes at the utility. What is the process when a customer calls?
we answer the phone and we ask them what they need. And if it's something that customer service rep can answer, they probably start with, can I get the service address or the customer account number if it's available?
Okay, and once you get that name or service address, is the customer service rep pulling up the customer's account?
Correct.
And in your experience, were these customer service representatives often talking, or what would you guess, how many customers would you say these customer service representatives are talking to on a normal day?
Dozens.
Dozens?
Mhm.
And can you just give a couple quick examples of what people may be calling the customer service representatives about?
Yes, they might be calling to pay a bill. They might be calling to check on their bill to see why it is what it is, if it's their usage, they might be checking on that. They might be checking to respond to a letter that we sent them to change a meter. They might be calling to change a name on an account.
And in 2021, was there a phone log system that would save a caller's number or the length of a call that a customer service representative had?
Not that I'm aware of.
Does the utility's internal software track every time that an employee is in a customer account?
Yes,
Does the internal software record what was discussed in every customer call?
not unless something is noted.
And is this the same internal software that the utility has used for at least the last 20 years?
Yes.
When a customer calls and asks for a perma for a disconnection of water services, what is the process that the utility undergoes when a customer service representative? Let me scratch that and start again. When a customer calls and talks to a customer service representative about a perma for disconnecting water service, what is the process?
They would probably first ask why they wanted it turned off. And then when they give us the reason, we would schedule an appointment. We'd have to have somebody at the property and able to get into the property because we'd have to remove the meter and the radio unit, and then we turn on water off at the curb. And the reason that we like someone there, even if we're just turning it off at the curb, is because we want to make sure we have a good shut off, because it's sometimes not always the case.
And when the customer service representative is on the phone with the customer, are they scheduling the appointment at that time?
Correct. So then they'd have to go into a calendar that our meter guys work off of, and they'd have to find a time. They'd have to schedule it with the customer that's calling to say, okay, we'll be there on this date. It's generally like two to 3 days after the phone call, unless it's an emergency.
And if a customer had called and requested a perma, what would show up in the customer account?
A service order would have been created stating that a customer requested a perm off and with the time and a date of an appointment that was made.
And even after the service order is completed, would it still remain in the billing internal software?
Yes, it remains with some closing comments as to what was done.
And you would call this kind of the standard process for a perm off, is that correct?
That's correct.
And how long has this been the process for a perm off at the utility?
I've been there for 30+ years, so probably that long.
And in your experience, is this the way that customer service representatives are trained to handle requests for perm offs?
Yes,
So if Mr. Fabic had requested a perm off, would there be a service order in the internal software?
Yes.
Calls for speculation.
Overruled.
I'm going to be handing you what's been marked as Exhibit F.
Is that, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this have you seen this document before?
I have.
And is this a screenshot of the internal software at the utility?
Yes.
I'm gonna wait until it's loaded, sorry.
So off the record, so I'm gonna display for the live stream, the redacted version, but I have the unredacted version as well. So it's gonna be hard.
Sorry, it's so small.
It's okay. All right, let's get it back on.
I'm sorry, I had F and G reversed, so.
Sorry.
No, I'm in the right spot.
We're good, okay.
All right, will you explain what we see in this screenshot here?
Yeah, we're seeing a copy of all the service orders that were created and the dates, the times when they were created and who created them. Basically gives a brief description of what was requested.
All right, and is it your position that if Mr. Fabic had requested a perma in December of 2021, that there would have been a service order created, or at least that's the standard procedure?
That would be the standard procedure, yes.
All right, you can set that down for a minute. When you investigated Mr. Fabic's complaint, did you review the internal software to see if you could substantiate his claim that he asked Donna for a disconnect?
I did.
And did you find any record of a request for a disconnect in December of 2021?
I did not.
You did not see a service order generated at the end of 2021.
No,
Do you know if water was stopped at the curb stop in late 2021?
not according to our records, no.
All right, earlier you said the utility's internal software tracks every time an employee is in a customer account, correct?
Right.
All right, I'm gonna hand you what's been marked as Exhibit A.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna have you flip to page 4 of 6. It's marked as such on the bottom.
Off the record, we're on exhibit A. And the bottom page number is, what was that?
Page 4 of 6, or page 58.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah, and then there's little numbers on the right.
Yes, there's. Variation.
Did you mean 59? I think you said page 4, that's right.
We had put, like 4 of 6 on our copies.
Oh, I know,
So,
okay.
Page 58, sorry.
Okay.
All right.
All right, is this a screenshot again of your internal system?
Oh, let's get back on. Go ahead.
All right, have you seen this document before?
Yes,
Is this a screenshot of the internal software at the utility?
yes.
And what does this document show?
It shows, the date and time that somebody accessed this account, so it shows on 12/20 that Donna accessed it, and on 12/30 that Stephanie accessed it.
And this account is the account at 522 Northview Road for Fab Air, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, will you just go back 1 page to 57? And do you see where we have bullet points number 1 through 5?
Yes,
And will you just confirm with me that that's the standard operating procedure that you just discussed about scheduling an appointment to remove the meter and creating a service order?
yes.
As a result of your investigation into Mr. Fabick's complaint, what is your understanding of the December 30th call that occurred?
The December 30th call indicates that Stephanie received a phone call asking for name change to be done on that account. So we changed it from Faber to Jerry Fabick.
Okay, will you go to page 59? If a customer calls and asks for a new name on the account, does the account number change?
The account number remains with the property, so it does not change. The customer number changes.
Okay, so the account number stays with the service address.
Right.
Do customers sometimes call the customer service representatives and there doesn't end up being an action or a note written in the customer's file?
Right.
And what type of situations would those be?
Someone may call and ask for the balance on their account. Someone may call and ask for their usage history.
I'm gonna ask you some questions about 59. Is this a screenshot of the utilities internal system?
Yes,
And you see at the top left where it says account number?
yes.
And what is the name underneath that?
Faber LLC.
So that would have been Mr. Fabick's original account as of December 2021. Is that correct?
Yes.
I want to ask you some questions about what some of these terms mean on here. In the top right, it says move out December 8th of 2021. What does that mean?
So if someone called and they didn't request a final reading, we would change the date of the move out to the last billed reading date. So that means that according to this, we got the phone call on December 30th. They didn't request a final reading, so we used the last reading date of 12/8 as the move out date. But we put that, it was effective as of December 20th.
And where do you see the December 30th date?
On the,
I'm just gonna object, I believe she testified and said 30th.
the information was put in on the 30th.
I'm sorry, I think she said 20th, my question.
Right, the question was wrong, yeah, right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You said the 20th, and the question said the, yeah.
My apologies, I thought you said the 30th. Can you explain the out info date/time section
Sure.
on this screenshot?
I'm sorry, it does say the 12/30, that was on 12/30, 4/18, Stephanie, which her initials are SLG, put this information, remove Faber's, change Faber to Jerry Fabic.
So wait, just so I'm clear, so the page 58 is sort of the. Page 58 has the date of 12/30. And then 59 is continuation of that event. Logged on the system.
It's a different screen, actually. It's under the customer account. So if we're ever looking like, so who called this in or what day did they call it in? There's more information under this tab than there was on page 58.
Different tabs, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And you said SLG, what does SLG mean?
It's Stephanie Graber's initials.
Stephanie Graber is a
Customers.
utility.
Yeah, utility customer representative.
How about towards the top left, account status? What does finalled, FINALLED mean?
When we make a name change on an account, we only want one active account. So if we're just solely making a name change, which we did on this account, we would final the account for Faber, and then we create the new account, same customer or same account number, different customer number. We would make them the active account.
So if you'll flip to page 60. Is this an accurate screenshot of the internal software at the utility?
Yes,
And what do we see on page 60?
we're seeing the information for 522 Northview Road, same account number, but a new customer number. And we're seeing that we're billing Jerry Fabic.
And what's the info date/time? What does that section mean?
So the in info is the same information that was on the out info. It was done by Stephanie on 12/30/21 at 4:18. And the note said that it came from Jerry.
All right, so page 59 shows the account when it was with Faber, and page 60 shows the new account under Mr. Fabic's name, correct?
Correct.
And this occurred as a result of the December 30th call.
Right.
And then under account status, sorry if I missed this, on page 60, it says perm on.
Right, so this account, when we made the name change, the account status would have been active, but since that time, we've permed off this account, so we no longer do any billing, so it has to go into a perm off status.
All right, I am done with that exhibit. Did you review the bills issued to Mr. Fabic for the service address as a result of your investigation?
Yes,
I'm gonna show you what's been marked as exhibit E. Before I ask you questions about that, can you just tell me a little bit in your experience, your 30 years at the utility, how the utilities water meters worked as of 2021?
so the water meters, are read through a radio interface unit. We do read in hundreds, when we read, we get a full reading, but we bill in hundreds of gallons. So the bill, unless there's been over like 100 gallons has met its threshold, there would be no water usage being charged. Once it hits 100 or above, that's when the water volume starts to get charged.
And
Let me just ask a clarifying question about
Sure.
that. Is that within each billing period?
Within each billing period, yes.
Okay.
how do you pull these meter numbers?
The readings,
Yes, sorry.
there's a radio unit that we use to drive by every property in the city of Waukesha. And each radio has a unique number that's connected to the meter at the property. And when we pull all that information, then that goes on to Well, at the time when I was there, it went onto a flash drive, and then that flash drive was transferred over to every customer in the city of Waukesha's account.
So you don't have to be standing physically next to the meter to get the readings, is that correct?
Right, you can drive down the street and you'll get a number of readings.
All right, I'm gonna ask you some questions about Exhibit E now. Do you see the service address listed at the top as 522 Northview Road?
Yes,
And that is Mr. Fabick's surface property, is that correct?
correct.
On the bills, I see water service charge and fire capacity charge. Can you just explain those?
Yes, every customer in the city of Waukesha is charged based on the size of the meter at their property. Water service charge, and then they're also billed based on the size of their meter, a fire capacity charge. So if you're connected to water, these are fixed charges that are billed to every single customer in the city of Waukesha.
And are they billed as a result of the utilities tariff?
Correct.
So regardless of whether you actually have a water usage charge, these water service charge and fire capacity charges have to be, or are mandatory to be included in every bill.
Yes,
All right, will you pull up the second bill with a begin date of January 10th of 2022 and an end date of February 8th of 2022?
got it.
What does this bill show as far as usage?
It shows that 100 gallons was used between January 10th of 22 and February 8th of 22.
And as a result of your investigation, were you reviewing these bills?
Yes.
And what other documents were you reviewing?
We reviewed this, and then we reviewed the data log that the service rep went out to take just to verify that there was no water usage being used there.
All right, I'm gonna hand you what's been marked as Exhibit D. I'm making a mess. All right, is this the data log form you just discussed?
Yes,
And you ran this for purposes of the investigation into Mr. Fabick's complaint?
yes.
How is this information compiled?
The service tech puts in the radio number, and then he's able to access the last 90 days of readings. So he brings it back again on the flash drive. It's downloaded, and we're able to pull off graphs. We're able to pull off, pardon me,
We're able to pull off.
graphs.
Thank you.
Like a lot of times it's used to determine leaks, to be honest, but in this occasion, it was used to determine if there was any usage there. So if we could pull off a graph, or we can pull off the individual daily readings.
So just let me interject, is when the meter reader is gonna be on site to pull up a log like this?
He doesn't have to be on site, he has to be close enough to the radio unit to collect the data. He could be on the street.
So it could be a drive-by reading.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's a different reading than a normal monthly.
It's not a normal monthly, it's actually collecting 90 days worth of data.
And that person has to put in a special code or something?
Puts in each radio unit has a unique serial number. So he puts in that serial number and then pulls the data from that.
And that's not done just in a regular meter read?
On a regular meter reading, we're pulling one meter reading based on that same serial number.
Okay, but so I'm just curious, as a meter reader is assumed, so let me just describe what I think it is.
Okay,
You can tell me, meter reader is driving down the street and pulling up readings as the person's driving? Is that-
Right, he'll be driving down the street and he's got a laptop in his truck and he's driving by and he's pulling every customer that he's driving by. He's pulling the readings based on the serial number on the meter, which is then associated with the customer's account number.
Okay,
And I mean, there's an occasion where he misses one, but he'll get a notification that, hey, I didn't get this reading. So then he'll have to circle back and get that.
so that's not a system feedback that the reader can get while the reader's on site? Is it something that pops up on the screen? while they're in process of making the readings?
I'm not sure I understand, but, so when they're getting the monthly readings and pulling everyone's readings, they're basically driving down a road.
Yeah.
For this occasion, they may have pulled to the side, they may have drove into the airport, but they don't have to be right at that property, they don't have to be inside their property to get a data log.
But do they, while they're getting a meter reading, do they see a confirmation that they've gotten the reading for each meter as they're getting the readings?
Right. Mhm.
Okay. Okay, that's what I was wondering. All right, great. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
And do you see at the top that there's an interval date range of September 4th, 2022 to December 9th, 2022?
Yes,
And you said that typically there's this 90-day range that you get with a data log radio form like this.
yes.
Okay. Tell me about the highlight on September 15th of 2022.
It indicates that between September 14th, the reading was 520. And September 15th, where the reading was 550, there was 30 gallons worth of usage.
And do you know if Mr. Fabic was charged for these 30 gallons of usage?
He was not, because it didn't reach the threshold of 100 gallons.
And is this standard across the board to not be charged for under 100 gallons?
Yes,
And I just want to clarify one more thing, because my earlier question, I don't think I was clear. When meter readings are done subsequent to this, what would happen in September here, where 30 gallons are logged? Those 30 gallons, they get billed eventually if a customer does trigger over 100 gallons within the next, whatever future meter reading does trigger over 100 gallons, it'll include that 30 gallons that weren't billed before.
right. It would accumulate, and once it hits that threshold, then it would build 100
Okay,
gallons.
yeah.
Yeah.
thanks.
As a result of your investigation and before the PSC, did you also file a consumption spreadsheet
Yes,
or prepare a
Mhm.
consumption spreadsheet?
yes.
All right, I'm gonna show you that's been marked as Exhibit C.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have you flip to the very last page of Exhibit C. At the very top, it says consumption spreadsheet. All right, what is a consumption spreadsheet?
It's basically a history of every reading date and what the reading of the meter was in hundreds of gallons, and then, the bill usage.
And what do you see for usage in this consumption spreadsheet?
I show that there was only usage during the period of January 10th, 2022 and February 8th, 2022. After that, the reading remained the same and there was no usage billed.
And is that 100 gallons for the date of February 8th of 2022?
Yes,
And is that in line with the bills you just looked at a couple minutes ago?
yes,
In your time at the utility, have you ever experienced or heard about customer complaints about falsifying or fabricating records?
no,
In your experience at the utility, have you ever experienced or heard about customer complaints about staff creating accounts without a customer's permission?
no,
Bear with me, I have like 3 more questions. I'm just trying to find my note sheet. All right, earlier, did you hear Mr. Fagan's testimony this morning?
I did.
Did you hear about the photos that were taken of the property?
Yes,
And did you send someone from the utility to go out and take the photos?
yes.
And why did you do that?
Because I was trying to figure out because we showed usage, what could have possibly caused usage, since he said he had nothing that would need water usage, so I thought maybe there was some outside watering, just wanted to see what the situation was around the building. Just an investigation to substantiate like why he would have any water usage.
And at that point, did you know that Mr. Fabic had a bathroom inside of the hangar?
Did not,
And you didn't actually go inside of the scratch shed? Did the staff actually enter the hangar?
he did enter the hangar when he removed the meter, but yeah, prior to that, no.
When the staff took the photos, did they enter the hangar?
No,
Would the utility have a copy of the key to Mr. Fabic's hangar?
no,
In your understanding, have all utility bills for both of these accounts been added or transferred to the tax roll?
yes,
I have one follow-up question about the December 30th call with Ms. Graber. Typically, if a customer is starting a new account, let me scratch that. By default, when a customer starts a new account, are the billing statements sent to the service address?
yes, unless someone indicates that they have a different mailing address.
And through your internal system, would you have been able to tell that this property at 522 Northview was an airport hangar?
No,
I think that's all my questions for now.
All right, cross-examination.
Thank you. Ms. Kedrick, my name is Matthew Fernholz, I represent Jerry Fabic and Fab Air LLC. If you can, please take the black binder that's in front of you. I'm going to ask some questions regarding the exhibits with the numbers on them. And I want you to go to Exhibit 4 to start. Just let me know when you're there.
there,
This is the letter that you sent to me. I believe it was on or about January 19th of 2023. Is that correct?
that's correct, yeah,
Do you know why the letter's not dated?
I do not,
If you go to the last paragraph, you wrote to me that in the second sentence, the water utility will disconnect the water at the curb box on January 20th, 2023. But the water meter and radio unit also need to be removed. Please ask Mr. Fabic to contact our office. And then there's the phone number listed. Is that consistent with your recollection of the timing of when the water was to be disconnected at the airport hangar owned by Fab Air?
yes,
Okay, and if you go to exhibit number 7, this is a letter that Catherine Anderson, the billing coordinator at Waukesha Water Utility, sent to me March 23rd, 2023. Do you have it in front of you?
yes.
Do you know why Ms. Anderson was the one responding to my letter this time?
Yes, I retired on April 7th and I had been training Catherine, probably since November of the previous year, so I think when we got your your letter dated, in March, I was a couple weeks out of retiring and she was gonna be taking over, so she responded.
All right, so she had sometime in that month of March, she had taken over responsibility. Your responsibilities on this file, is that correct?
She had taken over everything.
Okay.
Mhm.
If you go to the second paragraph, Ms. Anderson writes, the utility turned the water off at the curb box on January 20th, 23, and removed the water meter and radio on January 26th, 2023. Do you believe that's accurate information in Ms. Anderson's letter?
I do.
If you can go now to Exhibit 5. This is a bill that the Waukesha Water Utility sent to Mr. Fabic at 11200 West Silver Spring Road. And you note the meter reading date is January 9th, 2023 through February 10th, 2023.
I do see that, and I believe that was an error. And I believe she canceled that bill. And we went back to the original date of your request to turn the water off.
Okay, let me unpack that. You said she made the error. Who are you referring to?
I'm sorry, Catherine. Catherine was doing the billing services at that time. The billing,
And as far as the Waukesha Water Utility was concerned, the shut-off date was November 7th, 2022, when I made the phone call to the Waukesha Water Utility. Is that correct?
that wasn't the date that it was done, but we did note that you had requested it on that date, and we took some time to investigate what was going on there. So we turned the water off on January 20th. We removed the meter and radio on January 26th, but we agreed to do the final billing date as of November 7th, I believe.
Okay, so the fact this bill was sent out was in error, correct?
That's correct.
And the Waukesha Water Utility failed to follow its standard operating procedure as to sending out bills on this account. True?
I believe it was part of a large group of bills being sent out and it was not pulled because as of that time, maybe the information, the account had not been firmed off as of that time.
As of what time?
As of the February 10th date.
The
I mean-
account had not been permanently shut off as of February 10th, 2023?
It was shut off, but maybe in the billing system, the account had not been changed from active to permed off. So it was part of a larger group of bills being sent out, and it was sent out with the larger part of the bills in error.
Do you have an explanation for why that happened?
I don't.
You ever spoken with Mr. Fabic?
No,
Have you spoken with Donna Kopczynski regarding Mr. Fabic or Fabier's file?
have I spoken with her?
Yes.
Recently, just because we knew we were coming here.
Okay. How many times have you spoken with Ms. Kopczynski regarding this particular file?
Probably twice
When did those conversations take place?
in the last couple weeks.
And what was discussed between you and Ms. Kopczynski?
Well, as part of a larger group, we just discussed what Mr. Fabic was indicating happened and what her memory of what happened.
So you have not had you said these conversations happened in the last few weeks, is that correct?
Our conversations with Donna retired a year earlier than I did. And so when we were getting letters from you or Mr. Fabic, Donna wasn't at the water utility anymore.
So during the course of the informal investigation, which then eventually became the formal complaint, you did not speak with Ms. Kopczynski regarding the December 20th, 2021 phone call, true?
True.
Have you ever spoken with Stephanie Graber regarding this file?
Yes,
How many times?
probably initially when she received the letter from you. And then I just tried to get what she remembered from it. And then since that time, I don't know, a handful.
You have spoken with Ms. Graber about a phone call she believes occurred on December 30th, 2021.
I did.
And what did Ms. Graber tell you about that phone call?
That she would not have gone into that account and changed the name on the account unless someone called her and asked her to do that.
Have you spoken with Courtney Nagel regarding this particular file?
Yes,
And how many times have you spoken with Ms. Nagel?
probably the same, a handful, maybe more.
What in particular did you discuss with Ms. Nagel regarding this account?
Well, I discussed the letter that I had sent back because I wanted to confirm that everything I was saying was accurate and correct and that she was okay with that.
Can I just interrupt? When you say the letter you sent back, is that,
The undated letter that I sent back to you.
that's exhibit 4, true?
True.
Okay, and Ms. Nagel said what regarding, let me rephrase. Did you send Ms. Nagel a draft of this letter to review?
I would say yes.
Or was it after the letter was sent, you showed it to her?
No, I would have sent it before I sent it.
And did Ms. Nagel make any corrections to the letter?
Possibly, I don't remember.
Did you share a draft of this letter with anybody else besides Ms. Nagel?
I don't recall. I probably, maybe our general manager, not sure.
Do you recall if any edits were made between the time you submitted a draft to when the letter was finalized and sent to me?
I'm sure there were edits, yeah, but I don't recall what they were.
What else did you discuss or have you discussed with Ms. Nagel regarding the Fabair account?
I guess I don't really know. I've discussed that there was water usage at the property, so we would need to figure out why, if he thought that the water was up at the curb, how they could have still used water at the property. And other than that, I don't really recall.
If I were to call in and represent myself as a user of Waukesha Water Utility, and I wanted to convey that I wanted to change an account number, or change billing information or something of that nature, how does the Waukesha Water Utility verify that the person making the phone call is the person associated with the customer account?
Well, first off, they couldn't change the account number. However, they could change the billing information. And I guess we would verify that by asking for their phone number and just verifying that they were the property. I don't know. At this point, we accept phone calls as a way to change a name on an account. We accept phone calls to change a billing address. And we accept names to, or phone calls to, create service orders if someone needs something done at their property.
So you would ask the caller, what is your phone number? And if the phone number matched the account number, then Waukesha Water Utility would assume that the person calling is associated with that account.
Well, if we had the phone number on file and they were calling and saying that we're moving out of this property, we'd like to change it. We would verify a phone number that we have on file. If it's the same number, we could confirm that they were the person that was moving out. And generally, the new information is put into owner occupant until the new customer calls us.
And that is the same process that would be followed if someone were calling to shut off water and close down an account.
Yes, we would have to verify that the person that was requesting that was the person, like they would give us their name, and if their name was on the account and they had the correct address and we could verify a phone number, yes.
Based on your investigation and what you found, what is the date, in your opinion, that Mr. Fabic called and wanted the change from Fabair LLC at the 11200 address change to Jerry Fabic at 522 Northview Road? What's the date that that switchover occurred?
December 30th, 2021, when he spoke to Stephanie.
It was not December 20th.
I think it was December 30th. He spoke to Stephanie on December 30th and made the name change. December 20th, he talked to Donna.
Okay, if you go to Exhibit A, and take a look at page 59. And you see in the out info, it says Jerry Fabic, EFT. Do you see that?
Yes,
What does the EFT stand for?
effective.
Okay, so it went out from Jerry Fabic effective as of December 20th.
Yes, that's what it says.
Okay, not December 30th.
No, but the information was collected on December 30th, and that's the date that the change was made.
Why does it say effective December 20th?
I don't know for sure, but I would think that Stephanie asked when was the effective date of this name change, and she was given December 20th.
how much water is utilized by a toilet flush?
Depends on what kind you have. You could have a 2.9, or you could have one that's not newer and 10. I don't know. I'm not really a plumber, but I would say that I know that, new toilets are 2 gallons a flush or something like that.
Okay. And when you said 10, is that referring to an older model?
10 gallons, maybe an older model. Yeah. But don't quote me on that. I'm not sure.
And then if I'm running water on a sink, is it accurate to say that how much water comes out of the sink if I were to fill a bottle up with that? That would be the water usage. If I filled a cup of water up with 16 ounces of water, that would be considered 16 ounces of water usage.
Right.
If you can go to Exhibit B. And this was the interval reading you were testifying about earlier for September, October 2022. And there's a baseline interval reading of 520 beginning on September 4th, and then it jumps to 550 on September 15th, true?
Yes.
Why does it remain at 550 for the remainder of the month?
Because there is no water usage.
So the baseline goes up every time there is water usage,
Yes.
and then it's reviewed at the end of the month to look at the total amount for that month.
Yes, generally, we just get one water meter reading a month, and it's a cumulative. In this case, we have a daily usage, and it would all be a cumulative at the end of the month.
And how is the baseline determined at the beginning of each month?
The beginning reading is based on the ending reading from the previous period.
Okay, so for this particular one, the interval reading, if you had pulled it up for October 15th, the interval reading would start at 550.
Yes,
And that never gets rolled backwards, it's just continually adding up throughout the life of the account.
of the meter.
Okay. To your knowledge, did you or anyone at the Waukesha Water Utility request permission from anyone at Fab Air to enter the hangar in December of 2022?
In December of 2022.
When the photograph of the hose was taken?
No, we didn't enter the hangar.
Where did you go?
We entered
Whoever entered it, where did that person go?
they entered the, airport and drove by. We didn't enter into the hangar.
Do you know if you were on property that was owned or leased by Fab Air?
I don't know how close he was to get that picture.
Okay. If you take a look at the judge has it up on the screen right now. You're under computer, indulge me and show me what you put that in, what you pulled up.
I have it as D, from the utility.
Okay. All right, take a look at the photographs in Exhibit D. Have you seen these before, ma'am?
Yes,
Okay, and do you have Exhibit D in front of you?
I don't think so.
Counsel, do you mind if I?
Do I?
I didn't give you a copy. There you go.
May I approach it with it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, take a look at Exhibit D. Based on looking at these photographs, can you estimate how close the person taking them would have been?
Not really. I mean, he could have zoomed his camera in. He could have been up close and personal. I don't know.
Okay, so you know if based on where these photographs are taken, they would have been taken from a position on the property that was owned or leased by Fab Air?
It probably would have been close.
And you would have needed either Mr. Favorite or someone from Fab Air's permission to enter onto that property, is that true?
No,
The utility can enter the property without permission from the owner?
we didn't enter the property. We entered the Waukesha County Airport's property.
Does your mic work?
Yeah, objection, that's irrelevant.
Sustained.
I do not have any other questions.
So hang on. just a second. Any questions from staff
No questions from staff.
and redirect?
No redirect.
No redirect. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Off the record. All right, get back on.
Can we take one more 5-minute break?
The last three witnesses will be very short, at least from our
Okay,
perspective.
so we'll just do a recess for 5.
Thank you.
Okay, so for the next witness.
All right, the utility would call Courtney Nagel.
With right hand, do you swear or affirm the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
All right, will you please state and spell your name for the record?
Courtney Nagel, Nagel.
And are you okay if I call you Courtney?
Yes,
All right, Courtney, are you currently employed?
yes.
Who are you employed by?
Waukesha Water Utility,
What is your title?
Administrative Services Manager,
And how long have you been in that role?
about 2 years.
What are your day-to-day duties in that role?
I deal with a lot of the accounting side of things, fixed assets, financial statements, things with the commission, and also I supervise the customer service staff and also the meter technicians.
What other roles did you have with the utility before being administrative services manager?
I was the senior accountant and also the accounting assistant,
So what year did you start working for the utility?
2010.
So you've been there for about 14 years?
Yes,
And you understand that we're here today to discuss a complaint filed by Mr. Fabic?
that is correct.
Sorry, regarding water usage at a property he leased and calls that he had with utility staff in late 2021?
Yes,
Okay, and did you hear Ms. Cadrich's testimony?
I did.
Okay. Did you hear her testimony about the process, the utilities process for taking customer calls?
Yes,
And do you agree with her testimony on that issue?
yes,
Overruled.
Did you hear Tina's testimony about the PERMA process and the steps that the customer service representative would ask a customer if they asked for a PERMA?
yes,
And do you agree with her testimony on those points?
yes,
Same objection.
Overruled.
Does the utility's internal software track every time an employee is in a customer account?
yes.
Does the software record what was discussed in every call?
It does not.
Is it the same software that the utility has had since you started in 2010?
Yes,
I'm gonna hand you what's been marked as exhibit G, my apologies. Wait, do you recognize this document?
I do.
And what is it?
This is the Waukesha Water Utilities, rate, file and tariffs. It's their, rules for how to bill and how to, treat different circumstances.
I'm sorry,
Different circumstances, sorry.
Is the utility required to charge its customers for tariff services?
Yes,
Is the utility able to charge a customer more or less than other customers for water usage?
no,
Does a customer remain responsible for water usage up until the point they request to stop the service?
yes. Up until the point that the water would be, turned off, if that's what you're asking, yes.
Thank you. Are water service and fire capacity charges mandatory to include in the bill as a result of the tariff that's in front of you?
Yes,
In your time at the utility, have you ever heard customer complaints about fabricated or falsified records?
no,
In your time at the utility, have you ever had situations where customers complain that customer service representatives aren't properly creating service orders?
no,
In your time at the utility, have you ever had situations where customers complained that accounts have been created without a customer's permission?
No.
Roughly how many customer accounts does the utility have?
I believe over 21,000.
And in 2021, do you know if there was a phone log system that would save a caller's number or the length of a call?
Not that I am aware of.
That's all my questions for right now.
All right, cross examination.
Ms. Nagel, my name is Matthew Fernholz, and I represent Cherry Fabic and Fabair LLC. I want you to take a look at Exhibit A, which I believe should be in front of you.
You're right there.
It is, I'm sorry, I'll move closer to you. And let me know when you're there, man.
I'm there.
Okay, exhibit A appears to be an extended email string, and at the top is an email from you to Kaylee Chiono, I believe is how you pronounce that. Do you see that?
Yes,
On July 5th of 2023. Who is Miss Chiono?
it looks like, an employee of the Public Service Commission.
You don't know her personally.
I do not.
Copied on this is Dan Dubniak. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did, yes.
All right. And it looks like he's employed with Waukesha Water Utility. Is that correct?
He is the general manager.
Okay, is that, you copied him on this email for that reason?
Yes,
You write in this email, "Hi Kaylee, thank you for your email. Please see the responses to your questions below in red. If you have any additional questions, please let me know and I will be happy to answer them." And then underneath that is an email from Kaylee Chiono to this contact us, a website or email address for Waukesha Water Utility and to you. You see that?
Mhm.
That's a yes?
yes,
Okay, sorry, you have to say yes or no, so it comes up on the transcript.
sorry about that.
And then if you go to the email below it, there is some text in black and there's text in red. You see that?
Yes,
Am I correct that Ms. Chiono's email is the red, I'm sorry, is the black, and your responses to her questions are in the red?
it looks like my responses are in red.
Okay, and I'm gonna be reading from some of the red portions. If at any time you believe that's not what you wrote, you'll let me know that, okay?
Yes,
If you go to, there's a page number on the bottom that's been marked, page 57, starting with your responses in red. And I'm gonna ask you some questions on this, but in preparing these responses on July 5th of 2023, did you speak with anyone to help prepare this?
I don't recall.
Did you provide a draft of what eventually made its way in this email to anybody to review?
I don't recall that either.
Why is it that you were receiving this email from Ms. Chiono regarding the complaint that I had filed with the PSC?
I imagine because I am the manager of that department. It also went to contact us, which is that C, like you stated, which is our general mailbox, and they would have also forwarded it to me.
But who made the determination that you would respond on behalf of the Waukesha Water Utility?
I did, I guess.
Did you review any documentation prior to preparing the responses in this email?
I guess I would need to read the entire thing to know if this talks about consumption and things like that. If it's about our standard operating procedure, then no.
I'm sorry, if it's about the standard operating procedure, you said no.
I wouldn't need to review anything.
You would be familiar with that.
Absolutely, yes.
If you can go to page 60. Well, actually, compare page 60 to 59. You see there's a customer number on page 59 that is 040832.
Yes,
And the customer identified there is Fab Air at 522 Northview Road.
yes,
And then if you go to page 60, there's a new customer number 064573. And it is affiliated with Jerry Fabic at 522 Northview Road.
yes.
Why is it that there is a new customer number on these two screenshots that are included in your email?
There's a request that was made, it looks like on the 30th of December, 2021. Again, by SLG, which is the initials for Stephanie. That Jerry Fabic requested it effective, change of the name was effective December 20th.
Have there been any changes to the Waukesha Water Utilities standard operating procedures as a result of the complaint that's been filed in this matter?
No.
It shows on here on page 59 that this account was final. Do you see that?
Correct.
But there is still a credit that was due as of January 20th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
How is it that the account was final when there was still a credit owed to the customer?
The customer would have received a final bill that would have showed that credit on there. Their last bill would have had that credit. We have 21,000 customers, and can't go through every single one. Oftentimes, they're in the process of requesting a refund. We have no idea at that time.
The customer has to make the request for the credit after the account is closed. Is that true?
Yes, occasionally we will go through when we have a little extra time with old credits remaining on accounts and send these letters out that include that request for refund form that I believe you showed before in a previous exhibit, and mail those out to customers.
On page 60, do you see where it says perm off above owner?
Yes,
And that means the account is permanently shut off, true?
yes.
What date was perm off added to this account? Do you know?
I don't.
Is there anything you could review to tell you when this internal document of Waukesha Water Utility indicated the account was permanently shut off?
Typically, there's a service order with a closing note on it. This screen, this tab is not the service order tab.
If you could go to exhibit C and move off the record, council, if you could go ahead and exhibit C.
I have it right here.
Oh, it is, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, exhibit C is a letter that you sent on May 12th, 2023 to Scott Coburn at the Wisconsin Public Service Commission, true?
Yes,
And it says at the top, this letter is in response to the complaint filed on May 1, 2023 by Mr. Matthew Fernholz on behalf of Mr. Jerry Fabic for informal review of the Public Service Commission, and then it goes on to cite the statute. Do you recall preparing this letter to Mr. Coburn?
yes.
And why is it that you prepared this letter on behalf of Waukesha Water Utility to Mr. Coburn?
Because I am the administrative services manager.
Same question I had earlier, do you recall reviewing any documentation or speaking with anyone to prepare this letter to Mr. Coburn?
I would have the same answer as before. I would need to read it to know, well, it looks like there is, consumption and water bills on here. So yes, I would have reviewed his account and bills related to that.
Have you ever spoken with Donna Kopczynski regarding this particular account?
Recently, yes.
How recently?
I don't know.
In the course of your investigation, so as of May 12, 2023, have you spoken with Ms. Kopczynski regarding this account?
I am not certain. I may have contacted her to see if she recalls any of the events, but I can't say that for sure. I don't know. I don't remember.
If you could go to page 37, the second page of this exhibit.
Yes.
And there is a screenshot in the middle of the page, right underneath the paragraph that starts with Mr. Fabic did not make any payments on his account in 2022. And then you see there's a screenshot of water/wastewater bills. Do you see where I'm at?
Yes.
Can you explain what that is?
So this is just a breakdown. I was we're just trying to make it, easy to understand the parts of the bill. And so, across the top are the dates of each bill, the reading periods, and then along the left side are the different charges that, occur on each bill,
And you
Yeah,
see,
sorry, different charges that.
that occur on each bill.
you see in the row that says water use charge, there's only one entry there,
That is correct.
and that is for the period January tenth through February 8th, 2022, correct?
Yes,
And that is for 44 cents, true?
yes,
And so based on your review of the records for 2020 billing purposes, Waukesha Water Utility believes that Fab Air used a total of 44 cents of water, is that correct?
I'm sorry,
Um,
what year? What year?
Ja-
2022?
2022, okay.
January tenth through February eighth, correct?
Yes, but there are no other entries for any other portion of the year 2022, correct?
That is the water use charge, correct?
Yes, so just to close the circle on this stuff, the total amount of water usage that Fab Air was billed for 2022 would be 44 cents as indicated in that one.
The 100 gallons, correct?
You were asked some questions briefly about Exhibit G, which is the rate file for the Public Service Commission for Waukesha Water Utility. Do you have that in front of you?
Yes,
Do you note the effective date at the bottom there? Could you identify that for me?
this is our current rate file. This is not the rate file that would have been in effect
Okay.
at that time, October 1st, 2023.
All right, that you answered the question I was gonna follow there. You anticipated that. We heard testimony earlier that the Waukesha Water Utility considered the file, this account closed out as of November 7th, 2022, based on a phone call I made. Do you recall that?
Yes,
But the actual water itself is not shut off until January 20th of 2023, correct?
yes.
Why is it then the Waukesha Water Utility regards the closeout date as November 7th, 2022?
We were doing it as a courtesy to the customer.
That
That
you're
while
saying-
you're, go ahead.
You're saying that's not the standard operating procedure that the water utility follows?
We typically bill through the time that the account is shut off and the meter is pulled,
So an exception was made for this particular account.
Yes.
Those are all my questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Commission staff, anything?
No question.
Did have a couple of questions for you, ma'am. So, it may make sense to do this on the record. It's gonna be a little awkward, not that I shy away from awkward, but, so I have on the screen here, you might be better if you turn around and look, but, so this is our internal, commission, contact system for utilities. It's called the Universal Name File. What I have up here is the utility primary address, which is on the display. So this is our internal recognition of who we would contact, who the commission would contact for various things when it needs to contact the utility officially. So we have on the bottom of the screen is the complaint processor, and it has the contact us email. But it's pointing to the administrative services manager, which is that your current position, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so the, looks like the name connected that we have on file is Joe Curio.
Cheryl,
Shuro? Okay, yeah, and who was that?
he was in the, do I need to say?
Yeah,
this?
that's probably best.
He was in this position before me.
Okay, and at what point did you take over that?
I believe I became interim in August of 2022.
Okay, so just so people know, I mean, I can represent from my experience with the system is that we would be using the complaint processor contact for those interactions between consumer affairs staff and the person designated as a complaint processor to handle situations like this, the informal investigation. However, here, utilities should be updating this, and there's a way to do that. There's an online form you can fill out to update the information. So you want to make sure you get that updated with your name as the administrative services manager. But so that's why those emails show up in that email chain, and why the administrative services manager would be the point of contact for the commission to communicate informal complaints. Did want to ask you though, you did mention that generally speaking, a customer would need to request a refund if there's a credit on their bill. Is that your testimony?
Yes,
Okay, and then certain circumstances, if you have time, utility would go through a batch of credits and process those credits on its own initiative.
yeah, we go through each year and pull a report for all credits and then send out the letters and the requests for refund.
Okay, so you'd send out a request form that the customer needs to send back.
Correct. They have this, yes.
Okay, so you don't process actual credits and like mail a check back without getting a request first?
That is correct, because we do not track who pays the bill. We only track that the bill is paid. So in that request for refund is also, there's verbiage on there that says that they need to provide proof of payment. So like a canceled check or, statement from their credit card or whatever.
Okay, well, I'll let it go, but is there anything in the tariff that indicates that customers need to request a refund when there's a credit on their bill?
Not that I'm aware of.
And that's probably, if you want to look, that's fine. Nothing that you installed.
Yeah, I would have to look specifically.
Okay, and then maybe one more, does the utility ever record the audio of customer contact calls?
No,
No.
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right, I think that's all I have. Any redirect?
No.
Okay. All right, thanks very much, Steve. All right, ready? The next one.
All right, we'll call Donna Kopczynski.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, is it two? Oh, that's a good one. There we go. Hi, figured that out too. All right. Okay, so I'll swear you in first.
Okay.
You swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And you thought you were retired, didn't you? I'm just gonna move that mic a little bit. Like that. You're on, you're good.
All right, will you please state and spell your name for the record?
Donna Kopczynski, Kopshinsky.
And Donna, are you okay if I refer to you as Donna?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
No,
Are you retired?
I am.
And how long have you been retired?
2 years and a few months.
And where did you work before you were retired?
Waukesha Water Utility,
And what was your role?
customer service representative,
How long did you have that role?
22 years.
And you understand that we're here today to discuss the complaint filed by Mr. Fabic about water usage at his property and some calls that he had with you and Stephanie in late 2021, correct?
Mhm.
All right.
Yes, please, I'm sorry.
What did your day-to-day look like in 2021? As a customer service representative?
Taking care of customers, we really didn't have people coming in, but it was mostly the phone. And then taking care of, all the mail that came in. And whatever else I did few things there.
If you had to guess, how many customers do you think you talk to on a daily basis?
Dozen. Yes,
So you're very busy on the phones.
very busy.
When a customer calls in, are you the first one that will typically answer the phone at the utility
Yes,
in 2021?
yes.
All right, and what would you first ask?
How can I help you? And, then if they would tell me what they were going for, I could give them instructions on what to do at that time. But sometimes, you know, it was just like, you know, checking out their billing or making sure everything, you know, their address or changing their name on it. But
How would you access their files, the customer?
I would
files?
have to ask for an account number or an address, service address.
If someone called you about a perm op, what would be the process? And a perm op, will you explain what a perm op is? Sorry.
Sure. Okay, that would be like if they were, we usually have to ask what was gonna, you know, be happening with the property, if they were gonna demolish it or something like that. And then, I would get the information from the customer. I would, get a phone number, a mailing address and all that, and then, tell them that we would have to go out there and remove the meter and the radio. And then they would have to come, you know, we would need somebody there, you know, to make sure that everything was turned off properly. And then, been a while.
That's okay. So would you schedule an appointment, you said? To do
Yes.
the-
Right away, and because I wouldn't let them off the phone until I had all that information put in on the order sheet. And
In your over 20 years at the utility, how many times would you say you've processed perm op requests?
I would say about 100, because there weren't that many. There were temp offs, you know, but not perm offs.
I'm gonna show you what's been marked as Exhibit A, or have you pull it up. And you understand that we're here today because Mr. Fabic alleges he had a call with you on December 30th, correct?
No, 20.
Sorry. My apologies.
I think you meant 20.
Mr. Fabic is alleging that you had a call with him on December 20th of 2021, correct?
Mm-hmm,
Do you remember that?
yes.
Do you remember that call at all?
No, I can't say I do.
And why would that be?
There wasn't. I don't know. I tried going back to see what I can, you know, figure out, and if there was nothing, you know, like an appointment made or anything, there wouldn't be any notes in there, and there weren't any notes. Nothing. I mean, it said that I was in there, but that was it.
Okay, I'm gonna direct you to page 58.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that? What does that show?
Shows that I was in there.
That you accessed Mr. Fabic's account on December 20th of 2021.
Right. Uh-huh.
But
Yes.
you don't recall the specifics of that phone call.
No, and I don't know what was said or anything, because I didn't write notes, and I always wrote notes, made the appointments, made the the service order, sorry. And, there's nothing there, so I'm not sure.
During your time at the utility, have you ever fabricated or falsified records?
No,
Did you ever access customer accounts without being told to do so by a customer or a supervisor?
no.
I think that's all my questions. Oh. Can you open Exhibit 9 in the binder in front of you?
Mhm.
And flip to the second page.
Is that the Verizon?
Yes, the
Okay.
Verizon bill.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the one phone call that is not redacted from phone call number 262-521-5272?
Right, yes,
And it's, the destination is Waukesha, Wisconsin, and it's a 4-minute call. Correct?
right.
In your experience, in your 20+ years of experience at the utility, did you typically do per month calls in 4 minutes?
4 minute, no, it just how much information that the customer wanted to give you. It could be, like maybe 15, I tried to, because I had so many calls coming in all the time, that I tried to make it like 15 the most. But, sometimes they were longer, but that was it. In 4 minutes, no.
All right, that's my last question.
All right, thanks. Cross-examination.
Ms. Kopchinsky, my name is Matthew Fernholz, I represent Jerry David and Baybear LLC. If you could, stay with exhibit 9 right now, which is, the phone records of Mr. Favix, and just to confirm, that phone number of 262-521-5272, that's the Waukesha Water Utility number.
It is, yes,
Just let me make sure I get my question out. That's the number, correct?
yes,
All right, so if I dial that number, it would go directly to you. It wouldn't be hold here, press this number, get someone else, press the number, you answer the call.
unless I'm on the phone already, but yes,
Okay,
it would
you're-
come directly to me.
Right, you are a first point of contact.
Yes,
I just want to confirm, I think I know how you testified to this, but I want to make sure we have a clean record. So there are no notes that are inputted into the Waukesha Water Utility System from December 20th, 2021 associated with this account, true?
true.
And to your knowledge, you did not take any handwritten notes of the call on that day associated with this account, true?
No, I would have taken, if I had notes, they would have been in there.
So in other words, every time you do handwritten notes on a piece of paper, you input them into the system?
Yes,
Okay, and is that was your typical process of writing the notes by hand and then later entering them into the system?
I would I would put them in, either if we were, still on the phone, and then I would put notes in as I made the order out and got an appointment and everything. But otherwise, if I don't have any notes, that means I didn't have to take any notes to put in there.
So as you sit here today, you have no recollection of any of the subjects that were discussed between you and Mr. Favick on December 20th, 2021, correct?
Correct.
Do you have any recollection of what steps you took regarding this particular account after December 20th, 2021?
After that,
Yes.
nothing.
Anything you would have done would have been inputted into the system?
If I had something to put in there, I would have put it in there. Not the next day, it would have been that day.
You mentioned you retired 2 years ago and some months. Do you know the actual date of retirement?
July 8th.
Do you recall if you were working on December 30th, 2021?
December 30th, yeah, okay, December 30th,
Yes.
okay, more than likely, because I worked every day, so. I mean, I can't tell you what the 30th was right now. Do you,
I'll represent you as a Thursday.
okay, there you go. I would have been there, yes.
Okay, and if a customer had called on December 30th, 2021 regarding his account, you would have been the first point of contact, true?
I would if I was not on the phone. If I was on the phone or away from my desk, and then the next person in line would get the phone call.
In the year 2021, what was the order of people that would receive phone calls if you were on the line or unable to talk?
Okay, can I change that. December 30th of 21, I was probably on holiday. Because I usually took off the Christmas to New Year's.
Do you know if there are any records that Waukesha Water Utility would have to establish if you worked on that day?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I've done that for years, taking from, just before Christmas and then right after New Year's.
If you can go to Exhibit A
Mm-hmm.
and go to page 58, ma'am.
Sure. Okay.
And this indicates that you accessed this particular customer account on December 20th, 2021, correct?
Right.
And that would have been you and only you, not a manager or anyone else at Waukesha Water Utility?
Right.
As you sit here today, do you have any recollection at all as to why you accessed this account on that day?
No. I cannot recall.
I do not have any other questions.
Okay.
All right, just letting someone in the Zoom. I did have one question for you, just to clarify.
Mhm.
On Exhibit A, I think you have that in front of you,
Yes.
and I'm just curious, you see how there's the tabs from the, customer contact system? The one that's in red,
Inquiries?
inquiries, and so that, just to make sure that, because it's in red, it's the, what you're seeing below the list of tabs? Is that what it's indicating, that you're in that tab, basically?
Yes, just
Okay.
in that tab,
So
not
when it's
in the
red-
red, not in the red, but because unless they changed it by when I've
Mhm.
been gone, it was all, everything was the same color. It was just that they probably wanted to highlight this in red.
Okay. And that your understanding is that as you look at that, this page 58 shows that it's the inquiries tab that's being displayed.
Yes.
Okay. And then one other question you mentioned that there was something called an order sheet when someone was doing a perm off.
It's a service order, sorry.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
and is that when you mean sheet, that's a piece of paper that you're filling out?
Well, no, actually, it's like after you put the order in, and then, it will go down to the field services. Yeah, but it eventually gets to be a sheet.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
so it's printed from the
Yes.
system.
yes.
So after you input the information into the system, then you print out the order sheet.
Yes,
Okay, got it. Thanks.
yes.
All right, that's all I had. Do we have any questions from staff?
No questions, Your Honor.
Right, can you redirect?
Can you just pull up exhibit F for me?
F.
Yes, F.
I have a hard copy, you might want to look at the
Oh, yeah. that's
screen.
good, right? Okay, oh, I can't even see this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the screen may not give you much better.
Okay, I need this.
Donna, is this an example of the service order tab within the software?
Right, what you would do would be, you would go to the service orders, and let me just check out. And then, you would go to the pencil. It's been a while since I've had to do this, so okay. Anyway, so that you can see what was ordered on the date, who ordered it, and that would go for that, until you, let's see. Yeah, that's the service order. And that's what would be written on your order form. Or not the form, but the order.
Okay, no further questions.
So it wasn't quite redirect, so more like extra direct, that's okay. But you didn't have any redirect then?
No.
Okay, so any questions based on looking at the form? Looking at exhibit, what was that, 9, E? Okay, great. All right, so that's it. Thanks, your excuse.
Thank you.
Still one more?
Yep, one more witness if we want to proceed right now.
Yes.
All right, we'll call Stephanie Greger to the stand.
Afternoon. Do you swear or affirm tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon. Will you just state and spell your name for the record?
Yep, I'm Stephanie Graber, Graber.
All right, and are you okay if I refer to you by Stephanie?
Yeah.
Okay. Stephanie, are you currently employed?
Yes.
And who are you employed by?
Waukesha Water Utility.
And what is your current role?
Current role is operations assistant,
And how long have you been in that role?
about a year and a half.
Did you have a role with the utility before that role?
Yes,
And what was that?
customer service,
And how long were you a customer service role?
about a year and a half.
A year and a half?
Yes,
Was that your first position with the utility?
yes,
So you started in early 2021?
correct.
You understand that we're here today to discuss a complaint filed by Mr. Fabic regarding water usage at his property and a call that he had in part with you on December 30th of 2021, correct?
Yes.
What would your day-to-day have looked like in 2021?
Customer service, first would be the phones. And otherwise, the mail and whatever anybody needed.
During a typical day, how many customers do you expect that you talk to?
Dozens.
When a call comes into the utility, what's the process?
First ask their account number or service address. And kind of let them tell me what they want.
Do some customers sometimes just call with questions?
A lot.
I'm gonna have you pull up exhibit A, page 58. You see that document?
Yes.
All right, what does this document show?
Document shows that, I was in the account. And I was in the inquiry screen on the December 30th of 21.
Do you remember this call?
No.
Okay,
No.
thank you. And have you flipped to page 59? Do you see at the bottom right where it says out info user ID SLG?
Yes,
And is that you?
yes,
And is the out info date December 30th, 2021 at 4:18 PM?
yes.
And what is that showing?
That shows that that's when I was in the account and I made the move in, move out at that time.
Move in, move out. What do you mean by made the move in, move out?
So that means when, the customer calls and requesting something to be changed on the account, that is when the date and time of that call.
And do you, after looking at this page, do you know what the request was?
Yes, that, Jerry Fabic, effective 12/20, told me to change the account to his name, that it was effective on 12/20.
What does that mean, effective 12/20?
That means when I take the phone call, like either change the name or the closing date, that's what the EFT means, effective date.
If a customer calls and asks for a new name on the account, does the account number change?
No,
The account number stays with the service address.
correct,
Does the customer number change?
yes.
Can you flip to page 60? And do you see in the bottom right where it says in info dates, in user ID SLG,
Yes,
and is that you again?
yes,
And in info date time December 30th, 2021, again at 4:18 PM.
yes.
What is this document showing us?
That means I was in the account on 12/30/21 at 4:18.
And is this the new account that Mr. Fabic asked you to open?
Yes,
So the account number on this page would be the same as the account number on page 59,
Correct,
but the customer number would change from page 60 to page 59.
yes.
Correct. When he would have changed his name on the account, would you have proactively asked him about his mailing address?
Objection, speculation, short testified, I shouldn't remember anything about the call.
Are you speaking hypothetically?
When you typically get these calls for a name change, and the person tells you the new name, do you follow up and ask about a mailing address?
Not typically,
And why not?
because it's a home. It's a home address. I would have no clue it was a hangar,
So you would assume that the service address is a home address.
correct?
So unless the customer would have told you a different mailing address, the default would have been the service address.
Correct.
During your time at the utility, have you ever fabricated or falsified records?
No.
During your time at the utility, have you ever created or revised an account without permission from the customer?
No.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Cross?
Scraver, you probably heard me say this already, but I'm Matthew Fernholz and I'm representing Terry Fabic in Fair LLC. If you can go to Exhibit A. And go to page 58. And you testified earlier, this indicates that you were accessing the account on December 30th, 2021, correct?
Yes,
And the time on here shows 4:18, that would be central time, true?
true,
You have no notes inputted here, which means you didn't take any notes regarding the phone call that allegedly occurred on that day, is that correct?
on this page, no,
Well, so if you had taken notes during the call, am I correct that they would have been inputted into this system?
yes, they were,
All right, so if you wrote notes on a sheet of paper, they would have to go into the system, true?
yes,
Okay, and there are no notes indicating what happened on this date, true?
not on this page,
Okay, where would the notes from the phone call be taken?
on page 59,
And the notes are the out info, is that what you're referencing?
correct,
Okay. And it's showing that the account changed who it was titled to effective December 20th, 2021, correct?
correct.
Why would a phone call on December 30th be effective December 20th to change the account?
That is the
name?
process that we ask the customer. Jerry Babek, had stated that he wanted the name change. So that's when we ask who we're calling or who we're talking to. The EFT means effective and 12/20. So then I say, when did this take place? Then I was told 12/20.
All right,
That's when we
so-
write everything on that line.
All right, so based on what you're seeing, this review of the records show Mr. Fabic called December 30th, said I want to change the name, true.
True,
And I want the change to be effective 10 days ago, true.
true,
And the account also shows that there was a phone call made by Mr. Fabic 10 days ago as well, true.
true,
But there's nothing from December 20th from the phone call of Ms. Kopczynski showing that the name was supposed to be changed on December 20th, true.
true,
And there's nothing indicating why Mr. Fabic called on December 20th.
true.
Is it enough if a customer is calling to change account name information? Am I correct, the customer only needs to provide the address associated with the account?
And the account number,
Okay, the person taking the call must have the account number to.
one or the other.
I'm sorry,
You just wait till I get my question out.
wait till.
The person who's calling would also have to give whoever he's speaking to at the Waukesha Water Utility the account number, is that true?
If they have the account number,
And if they don't have the account number,
the service address,
yeah, that was my point. So you can provide the service address and then who's ever working at the Waukesha Water Utility would have access to that account and could make the changes.
yes,
That was yes?
yes,
If you go to exhibit 2. You testified earlier that you assumed that,
Just a second, that would be in the binder.
oh, there's a black line. Testified earlier that you assumed that this account for Faber, Mr. Fabic, was a residential address, true?
True,
And if you go to exhibit 2, you see this is a true and accurate bill generated by the Waukesha Water Utility, true?
true,
And you're familiar with what these bills look like, true?
true.
And you see under user class, it indicates commercial?
Yep,
And you
yes.
could have reviewed that and known that it was a commercial account, not a residential, true?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay, so. Let's go off the record for a second. So. Won't be on the record, but I thought I thought her answer before was that the address was a residence, not that it would be account was a residential account. Does that ring a bell?
I understood her testifying that the actual, where the actual account is held was a residential address.
Yeah, I don't, okay, so I don't,
Understood it as that she would have no way of knowing from looking at the address that it was not a residence. That was my understanding at testimony.
okay.
We could do some redirect to help clarify the record.
I mean, I think on the system, it does say commercial when you bring up the system, when you bring up an account in the system, it says commercial, so I would have been able to see that, but. Okay, yeah, some redirect, maybe we'll try to clarify that, because I'm not sure if we're on the same page there. Okay, so let's get back on, any questions from staff?
None.
Okay, so I just had a couple questions from you based on some of the stuff we heard before. Do you use the customer phone number to verify the person's identity when they're calling in to make changes on their account?
No,
No, okay. And
no,
sorry.
okay.
And do you guys ever record calls, customer calls that you know?
No.
No. Great, thanks. Redirect.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Wishart. I'm an attorney for Waukesha Water Utility. Just a couple of questions to follow up on what we were just discussing. So when you look at a customer file in your system, do you have any reason to know what, other than general categories of usage, what the property is used for?
No.
Do you have any reason to know whether that property address can receive mail?
No,
And is the service address the default address listed unless it's separate? Unless the customer provides a different billing address?
correct, unless they provide a different billing address.
Thank you.
Just real quick.
Apologies.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The original address affiliated with this account was not 522 Northview Road, but was 11200 Silver Spring Road in Milwaukee, true?
True, as in you guys telling me, yes. I wouldn't have looked when I was in the account.
Right, but you had testified that default mailing address would be where the actual property is located.
Yes.
true? But that was not the case for this particular account because the original address was not 522 Northview Road.
When you change it, that doesn't come over.
So what you're saying is if it started out as Faber LLC 11200 Springdale Road, and then it is changed to Jerry Fabic without the customer or the client indicating an address change, it automatically changes
Correct.
back to the address of where the
Service,
hangar is located.
correct.
So there is nothing in the record indicating that Mr. Fabic or anyone at Faber requested that the address be changed to 522 Northview Road, true?
True.
Nothing else.
Okay. All right. Redirect? No. We're done. All right, thanks very much. You're excused. All right, so that's all of our witnesses, correct? And all the exhibits we've reviewed through the witnesses. I don't know if we actually had witnesses verify those documents under oath, but I think which is a little different what we usually do, because witnesses are actually sponsoring, introducing those exhibits. in testimony ahead of time, but I can receive all of these documents as correct copies of what they represent themselves to be, because we have reviewed them extensively here. Just to recap though, we'll want to get exhibit 11 in, and I'll make sure to pick that up on the witness stand, and scan it in as exhibit 11, and also get the Waukesha exhibits filed as indicated as letters. We can also discuss transcript corrections. I think we do this off the record. So you'll get a draft transcript in 2 working days by the end of the day. Usually then I give 3 working days for parties to review the transcript, and then within that time frame offer corrections. So they need to be filed on IRF and emailed to the service list. We are looking for corrections, can be minor typographical errors, not that we see many of those, but also substantive changes, or you may propose substantive changes, but they'll be subject to an objection, which is due 2 days after the filing deadline for proposed corrections. So opportunities provided to object to those, any substantive change. The purpose is to, make the transcript accurate, but if there's any prejudice in terms of changing the record, most likely I'm going to deny those. But if it's simply to clarify and parties agree, I'll put them in. So it'll be 2 days from now, you'll get the draft. You have 3 business days to file objections, and then 2 more business days to file, back up. 2 days to file the draft, 3 days to file proposed changes, and then 2 days to file objections. You don't get an order or anything. I'm just going to give the court reporter my decision of what I'm accepting as transcripts, corrections. It's more like a courtesy, because usually we've never done this as part of a process like this before. When we used to get all this on paper, we'd simply, there simply wasn't an opportunity to make corrections. So like I said, it's mostly typographical errors, anything substantive. There'll be an opportunity to object. I'm just going to rule by sending my orders to the court reporter. So that's just the way we do it. So we got transcript corrections taken care of. Any questions on that?
How is the transcript generated so that we receive it? Is it uploaded through IRF?
Good idea, good question. So court reporter will serve the draft on parties through the service list. So anyone currently on the list, and I'll try to add you in. I don't know if I'll get it done in time, but Waukesha will get it, and Attorney Wishart will get it. That'll be served by email. The final will be just posted. Well, you do send the final to the service list, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll get an email copy of the final version too. So.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead. This is your chance.
Mr. Fernholz said Springdale Road as opposed to Silver Spring Road.
Oh,
I did, I botched that.
Well, do you want me to?
actually, yes. Let's make that change, get the correct address. That's, yeah, thank you for.
I wouldn't normally change something, but.
No, I think that'll,
It's West Silver Spring Road as well, I left that out.
yeah, I think it's, I don't know if West is included in most of the times we've said it, so.
Well, we'll call it. Silver
Well,
Spring.
just let's leave it at that. File what you want to file as corrections. That's a typical thing that would actually clarify the record, and so let's just follow the process.
You don't want me to correct it?
No, actually leave it the way you have it, yeah, and then we'll just see the proposed change. So then briefs, parties have the right. Well, I'm gonna give parties the opportunity to brief, not sure if that's the case or not, but, so yeah, do we want briefs? Usually we do simultaneous rounds of briefs, an initial and a reply.
We had discussed
Mhm.
just doing a response to a staff memo.
Okay,
I don't know if Attorney Fernholz is still all right with that process, but we had discussed that.
okay, so actually, let's get on the record for this, because this does involve a little bit. So, I've just raised the issue of party briefs, and like I said, I would provide an opportunity for parties to file a simultaneous initial and then reply briefs. Then the matter was raised, I think the parties had an understanding that, or a proposal to, well, let me just have you state that, yeah, what was
We had discussed doing a staff memorandum and a response, an opportunity for each party to comment simultaneously on the staff memorandum.
so that would essentially be waiving the briefing, is that correct?
Well, we'd be filing one simultaneous brief instead of potentially three.
Okay, so my understanding is that staff is not, well, let me have Attorney Bedford state this. Does staff wish to, or is staff planning on creating a commission memo and putting it out for comment?
Yes, a brief memo for comment.
Oh, okay, so that is contemplated.
We would do a memo, I think regardless, and providing the opportunity to comment, this was requested by the parties.
Okay, that wasn't okay, that's usually not how it goes, so I didn't know if that was gonna be something that staff would be contemplating. Just so you know, I wouldn't really be ordering staff to do any of that, so that's why I wasn't sure we'd be heading down that path. But if staff is planning on doing a memo and putting it out for comment, then we can proceed in that fashion. Is that
Well, the memo in this case would be fairly limited in terms of the issues presented.
okay?
Since the parameters of this procedure are just to proceed as additional evidence.
I mean, I think it would benefit the commission to have briefs and have the parties essentially state their position based on the evidence, rather than, I guess, try to shoehorn whatever they want to say as a response to the memo, because we don't really know what the memo is going to be. It's not going to be a decision matrix. That's, I guess, no. Okay, so maybe that's part of the confusion. Decision matrix staff produces in other cases that are much more complicated issues, where staff is delineating the issues for the commission's decision, providing alternatives, and then the parties fill in their position statements on each issue. That's not what staff's planning on proposing here. Commission memo, it could be to the extent of detailing the case and the process and the facts and law, or it could be simply, here's the record, you can accept it or not, and anywhere in between. And I'm not going to order staff to do one thing or another. So I think the best process here is to at least have one round of briefs from parties. Yeah, I mean, since this is a complaint and respondent issue, we could do complaint, response, and then a reply. We typically do simultaneous, but what do you think?
Well, maybe we each do simultaneous initial briefs, and we each get a chance to respond to that simultaneously, so we're submitting 2 total.
Yeah, and I understood the commission memo to maybe be more comprehensive than it sounds like is going to happen. So that's fine with us if we do simultaneous initial and simultaneous reply.
That's great. Okay, so
And just to clarify that there has already been a commission memo on this, and what's being required by the court here is for the court to reconsider its previous decision, just with the addition of this new record evidence. So the legal analysis that's involved is going to be the same. It's just going to be adding this record evidence into what is considered in making that analysis.
I see. Well, still, I think it's probably better for the parties to take the initiative and file those briefs. So I just need dates. When do you think initial brief will be due?
30 days and 30 days for response.
That's fine.
Although maybe, we should have the transcript done within a week, so that should be fine.
Yeah, I'm open to anything. Anything, staff have any concerns?
No,
No, okay.
Could we, just for clarity for briefing format, incorporate the facilitating matters order rules for what the briefs, like page limits and things for briefs?
Sure. How about let's go off the record. So not going to represent that I know it all by heart, but let's just put it in the record before we adjourn. So let's stay off the record here. So this is our normal parameters for briefs. So no cover page, enough space at the top right-hand corner for the earth stamp, 12-point double space type, 1-inch margins. Initial brief is 30 pages, reply brief would be 15 pages. Does that sound good to everybody? Okay. All right,
That should be enough.
so then for dates, we'll have, so we want to start with getting so draft transcript, we know we have a date for that, which would be 2 days, would be Friday, end of day. You want to work off that date, or do you want some other time?
Well, I mean, if there's 3 days then after that, to make corrections, 2 days to rebut, and then the court rules on it, maybe we do the 30 days starts next Friday once the transcript is complete.
So looking at October 4th, generally. 30 days.
That's fine with me.
And to clarify, should we do 1:30 p.m. filing?
Sure, just keep the standard, sure. It should be enough time to get that in at 1:30.
It's a Friday, things always come at the end of the day on Friday, so.
Get it done before the end of the day.
It is the benefit of the 1:30 p.m. filing deadline.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we're good to go?
And then reply.
Oh, I'm sorry, November 1st, that's the sound.
And just to be clear, it's simultaneous for both sides, initial and then each file
Yes.
reply.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get on the record. Discuss the briefing schedule. We'll have 2 rounds of briefs filed simultaneously. The initial brief due October 4th at 1:30 p.m. The reply brief due November 1st at 1:30 p.m. The parameters for the briefs include the following: no cover page, allow space at the top right-hand corner of the first page for the PSC number stamp, use 12-point double space type and 1-inch margins, and page limits. Initial brief is 30 pages and reply brief is 15 pages. All right, so transcript corrections, briefs. Anything else? No?
I don't believe so.
All right. So I know we had a deadline for the exhibit 11. When can they expect the filings from Waukesha?
We can refile everything by tomorrow.
All right, perfect. All right, great. Well, thanks very much. Thanks for joining us here at the PSC hearing room. Thanks everyone for your attendance and patience, and it all went well. So appreciate it. Take care, and we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.